Oh, man.
And it appears that we are live. And already, before we even start today's episode, getting bawled out by an angry Japanese person. Or, I don't know if the person, they don't have a Japanese name. A weeb, maybe? Yeah. In the chat, if you guys look, there is a bunch of like an angry screeds. You can tell that it's angry just looking at the kanji.
Yeah, something Tim Pool.
Yeah.
I don't know. We actually don't read or speak Japanese, so whatever
Amelia went and translated the first one that he posted, and it was something like "Shame on you, deep fat fried."
Which, I mean, whatever. I ain't too worried about that.
Shame on you, deep fat fried. Shame, shame, shame. So I don't know. I mean, are we breaking some kind of a taboo covering Shinzo Abe today? I don't know. I guess
I don't know how it would be. I mean, like, then every media organization on the planet is breaking the same taboo because.
I tell you what we're going to do. What we're going to do today is something that no media organization that I've seen has spent the time doing, at least not in retrospect after his assassination. We're going to learn a little bit about like who he was and what he did, which I realized after he got assassinated that I really knew nothing about Shinzo Abe. I knew his name. Like, I immediately recognized his name when the news broke.
Yeah.
But
he's hobnobbed with a bunch of U.S. presidents. I mean, he was prime minister. He was actually he met with Obama, Trump. I remember Trump pretty famously courted him and was like, "I'm going to feed you hamburgers because I heard you love them."
Yeah. He and Trump got along pretty well. But yeah, no, I really didn't know anything about his life or his legacy. And so that's what we're going to cover during the first part of today's show. We're going to take a little look at Shinzo Abe's past and life and legacy and all that fun stuff. Maybe so now, like, after you watch this show, you'll be able to be the smart dude in the room if somebody brings it up. You know, if somebody's just like, well, it was crazy when Shinzo Abe got assassinated. You'll be able to tell them something about Shinzo Abe. What do you think about that?
I think I'm going to give it a big Suey.
Yep. Suey. It's Scooter and the Hog in the morning. TJ is lazily taking the week off.
So around doing nothing, man. He's a lazy sack of shit.
He is. That's okay. We all are, though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, in fairness to TJ.
In fairness, yeah. We're all a bunch of lazy sacks of shit.
And after we learn about this guy, some less consequential stuff for sure on the world stage. Just terrible tourist traps in the United States. Like, there's a never-ending font of this. Like, every community in some way tries to bill itself as a place for people. Oh, you should come visit. Like the area I'm from, I mean, the North Shore. I mean, I was born in California, but I grew up in Louisiana. Like the lakefront. And I mean, Paul's been to the lakefront. I mean, it's nice, but you wouldn't want to travel for that.
No, I wouldn't like go all the way halfway across the country to see it. You know, it's pretty.
Oh, look, it's a lake. It's like they got those in California, and they have them in Arizona and Nevada for now. I mean, I guess for now.
Well, I pulled your episode earlier and to pull the images and videos and stuff. I couldn't believe some of the shit that you found. So I can't believe that some of it is actual tourist stuff, like that they expect people to pay to come do.
I know.
And that people do it because these things are in business, so you know that they must be making money.
I mean, hey, it's the almighty dollar, right? If you can get some sucker to show up to your thing, you know what I think it is, Paul? I think it's people go to a town, right? And there's nothing to do, and they're like, I'm so fucking bored. And it's like, well, they got the largest ball of twine in Kansas or whatever, and you're like, fuck it, I'll go see it. What else do I have to do?
Yeah, I guess if you happen to be there, but
I going out of your way. No, it's like, well, I mean, I guess sometimes there's like a weird subculture of people like Atlas Obscura stuff where it's like people go out of their way to look at this shit and review it for people. So I guess there is kind of a little niche culture of it too.
I guess so. We'll take a look at that a little later in the show. And then after the show today, we will be doing a grease trap for our patrons only, where we're going to just kind of hang out and shoot the shit.
No plebs.
You want to catch those? Become a patron. You know, the stream doesn't end for patrons when the stream ends. You know, it's just beginning.
True.
So without further ado, unless you've got something else you want to cover, Scotty, let's dive into Shinzo Abe here.
I'm excited to learn about him.
So the assassination of Shinzo Abe shocked the world, and while many world leaders called the incident the loss of a dear friend, others reflected on the more complicated aspects of his legacy. So we're going to take a good look at the good and bad of Japan's longest-serving prime minister today on Deep Fat Fried. And we're going to start with his family. So Shinzo was quite literally born to occupy the highest rungs of Japanese political power. His maternal grandfather was Nobusuke Kishi. That's him pictured here. Interesting looking dude. Big old teeth. He's got some massive choppers on him. He was an ardent nationalist who served in Tokyo. Excuse me. Weed. Served in Tokyo's military-run government during World War II. We'll spend some time on Abe's grandfather because his actions actually had a strong influence on Abe and his later politics. Kishi here has been described as the mastermind behind the industrial development of Japan's puppet state in Manchuria.
Whoa, so China, basically.
Yes. Kishi was a rising star in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry who openly touted the policies of Nazi Germany. This is one of the things about Japan that I think a lot of people don't understand. A lot of weirdness comes out of Japan, and Japan's culture kind of radiates this liberalism where it's just like, oh, look, crazy fucking naked cartoons fucking and blah, 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 blah. But as a society, Japan is actually deeply, deeply conservative and right-wing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like people like, look, famously, because look, let's be honest about our audience, like Japanese pornography, it's like they have blurred pubic hair and shit like that. Like that's like some weird Japanese laws. Like I know there's a from a lot of parts of the world, like the age of consent in Japan for a long time was pretty young by international standards.
Yeah.
You know? So there's like some weird cultural things that it's like, like they are head scratchers for I think a lot of people in the world. But yeah, I think you're right. Overall, I mean, they're really strong nationalistic element in Japan. As we do in America. I think that's why America is so fascinated with Japan, is because we're very similar in some respects. Not all respects, of course, because Japan's a far more ancient culture than ours. But
yeah, Japan definitely takes American nationalism and conservatism and authoritarianism and runs with it for sure.
Oh, this is true here. Powder Toast Man, very ethnocentric. Yes, indeed. I have heard that about Japan.
Yeah, Japan is almost functionally like an ethno state. Almost
pretty close.
I mean, like
oh, good.
I was just going to say it's like it's vastly native Japanese, much more than most other countries. Its makeup is has very few immigrants.
I know they at one point let some Brazilian people move to Japan. Like there was kind of like a pilot thing, but I think for the most part, it's politically untenable to say, hey, let's have immigration like the West does.
Yep.
I think there's just enough people in Japanese society going like, fuck, no, we don't want that. It's like, okay, I guess we're not doing it.
You guys know all about it, huh? You must watch it. Bunch of sick perverts. Yeah, I mean, well, duh. Like, are you going to tell me you haven't watched some Japanese porn? Get out of here.
I mean, like, I'm admitting to it myself. So I mean,
get out of here, kid. You've seen some blurry dick and some blurry vagina. I know you have.
Yeah, I mean, come on. They paid Japanese Brazilians to move back to Brazil. Wow. Okay, well, good update on that.
So as we said, he was a big fan of Nazi Germany's policies. This guy Kishi here. He expressed views typical of his fellow colonial bureaucrats when he disparagingly referred to Chinese people as lawless bandits who were incapable of governing themselves. According to his subordinates, he saw little point in following legal or judicial procedures because he felt the Chinese were more akin to dogs than human beings and that they only understood brute force. So despite his kind of like nice looking eyes and gregarious smile, he was a pretty fucked up dude.
I'd say so.
This is Kishi. Oh, oops, I just fucked up.
All good.
This is Kishi here on the left, with Prime Minister Tojo in 1937. He signed a decree calling for the use of slave labor in Japanese puppet state Manchukuo. The enslavement of men paved the way to the exploitation of Chinese, Korean, and other women as sex slaves in Japan's occupied colonies in Asia. These sex slaves were euphemistically referred to as comfort women.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty famous. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I've always found that funny about nationalists. It's like they're so purist until it comes to fucking the women of the cultures that they hate. They love doing that.
Yeah, right. It seems like it doesn't matter what despotic culture was, from like ancient Rome to I mean any of them. I mean, like communists. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, you get a bunch of horny guys that are soldiers or bandits or whatever it is. Like, there's suddenly like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like rape is fine under those circumstances for some reason. It's like, isn't it never fine? No, they're not really human. But you said, but if they're not human, shouldn't you not want to? Well, we didn't say they're not. They're like not human, technically. It's like,
Yeah.
all right.
Kishi's and Japan as a whole's role in procuring these sex slaves would be ardently denied by Kishi's grandson, Shinzo Abe. So Shinzo Abe was kind of a historical revisionist, trying to paint the conservative lineage that he represented as something that was way more wholesome than it really was. On December 1st, 1941, Kishi voted in the cabinet for war with the United States and Britain, and co-signed the declaration of war issued on 7th December 1941. He was also elected to the lower house of the Diet of Japan in 1942 as a member of the Imperial Rule Imperial Rule Assistance Association. That's another thing about authoritarians. They love these like bureaus and bureaucracies and little government organizations that are all compartmentalized. Kishi's many connections with the business world and his organizational skills proved an asset to keeping Japan's war effort going despite growing obstacles. However, Kishi increasingly became convinced that the war was unwinnable and that peace should be sought with the Americans. In July 1944, during the political crisis caused by the Japanese defeat of the Battle of Saipan, Tojo attempted to save his government from collapse by reorganizing his cabinet. However, he refused to resign, telling Tojo he would only resign if the prime minister also resigned along with the entire cabinet, saying a partial reorganization was unacceptable. Despite Tojo's tears as he begged Kishi to help him save the government, Kishi was unmoved. So apparently Tojo like literally broke down into tears and was like, please, just like, let us do this. Let's save the government. Let's do this. Like, pick up the scraps. And he was like, no, we need to tear the whole thing down. His actions succeeded in bringing down Tojo and his cabinet, and directly led to Tojo's replacement as prime minister with General Kuniaki Koiso. So,
I mean, it wasn't going to work any longer. They did what they could, but of course, you know, it's funny. They were such big warmongers, and it's like, oh, we're not going to win. All right, well, peace. The rest of the country is like ready to kill, like commit mass seppuku for the honor of Japan, and the fucking elites are just like, I guess we better make a deal. You know, better figure something out real quick.
Thanks for the $10 powdered toast, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, dude.
But yeah, no, they're very realistic when it comes to the war effort shit. It wasn't a hard thing for a lot of the nationalists to go like, okay, we ain't gonna win this, because they knew what it meant if they just continued grinding along war. It meant the end of Japanese sovereignty.
Oh yeah.
And they were just desperately trying to save what remained of Japan. So shortly after that, Japan would surrender to the Allies in 1945 due to Kishi's brutal rule in the Manchukuo and his participation in the Tojo War Cabinet during World War II. He was imprisoned for over 3 years as a Class A war criminal. During his time as a prisoner, he was already planning his political comeback. So prison was just a speed bump for this guy. And interestingly enough, just a speed bump politically, it's kind of hard to imagine somebody that went to prison as a war criminal in America, you know. Well, first of all, it's kind of hard to imagine anybody that was an American politician or general or military figure going to jail for war crimes, period. But it's even harder to imagine them being elected afterwards. But for Kishi, it was just a little speed bump. He's in his cell planning his political comeback. He conceived of the idea of building on his earlier National Salvation Society to establish a mass party uniting the more moderate socialists and conservatives into a popular movement of national salvation, a populist party that would use statist methods to encourage economic growth and would mobilize all Japanese citizens to rally in support of its nationalist policies.
It's just insane to think of someone in political power actually even suffering, even if it is a slap on the wrist, really, any
Yeah.
consequences. Like, but I mean, of course, that's also because, you know, when the Japanese surrendered, America occupied Japan. So it's like,
Right.
of course, you know, it's like, yeah, you're gonna have to go to prison, you know. But of course, ultimately, you know, those are the people that ran the society. Those are the people that had all the connections to all the business in Japan and all the industries. So eventually, you know, capitalism is going to win. It's like, oh, well, shit, this guy needs to be let out so we can make a bunch of money here in Japan.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. In Germany, Nazi leaders were prosecuted, but not in Japan. They were just kind of, a few of them were locked up as war criminals, but there was no line of prosecution and no real crime in Japan that they were charged with. In Germany, Nazi leaders, like I said, were prosecuted. When Washington launched its Cold War against the Soviet Union, it needed Japan as a key ally in Asia. And during this time, a group of influential Americans who had formed themselves into an American Council on Japan came to the aid of Kishi. So surprisingly enough, even with his like Nazi sympathies and stuff, he became a useful political puppet for America. And they lobbied the American government to release him as they considered Kishi to be the best man to lead a post-war Japan in a pro-American direction. And this is Kishi as soon as he was released. Here, this picture.
Right. It's like his prison time was hard.
Yeah. He looks no worse for the wear, and he's just enjoying himself a nice little smoke to celebrate his, I don't know how many years he served. I think it was like 4 years.
Yeah, he was so politically connected in the country that it was just a matter of time. It's like, and you know, it was pretty clear that this guy is a chameleon. If America's gonna fucking foot the bill, America's gonna back me up, and
Yep.
I don't have to suffer anymore, and I don't have to be in jail, or even have the farce of being in jail. Okay,
Yeah,
I hate the Soviets. Whatever.
he's just snuggling up to whatever. Yeah, you know, the Nazis looked like they were ascendant, so he's like, yeah, Nazis. Yeah, we like you. And then, you know, they get defeated. Oh yeah, America, the people that defeated us. Yeah, no, love you. Just whatever would allow him to retain power, I think.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
Basically what was his driving ideal. This is another weird thing about Japan that I learned doing this episode. He was instrumental in the creation of the Liberal Democratic Party, which, according to American parlance, you would think would be a left-wing party. It is their conservative party in Japan.
Dude, yeah, I remember reading about that years ago, and I'm like, oh, so like liberals rule Japan. It's like, no. It
the
sounds
party,
like it.
The party is called the Liberal Democratic Party. But it is their strong conservative party, and they have ruled in Japan ever since, with little interruption for the past 70 years. And in 1957, the former accused war criminal ascended to the level of prime minister, which is the highest post that a politician can attain in Japanese society. It's like their president, basically.
Sure.
And became a living symbol of Japan's unfinished post-war political reconstruction. As Prime Minister Kishi emphasized Japan's special relationship with the United States, Kishi had visited Washington, D.C. in 1957. He returned in January 1960 to sign a revised U.S.-Japan security treaty that intended to put the relationship between the two nations on an equal basis and restore independent diplomacy for Japan. To implement this policy, he initiated an official study of the controversial post-war constitution, which outlawed war, which I don't know. That's crazy.
That's
They
pretty
just,
unique. But I mean,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course, that was written by that's like America saying, like, look, you can be like a vassal state to us, like we're fine with that, but we're not letting you do anything with war. Like you can have
yeah,
Japan famously has a self defense force now.
right. And they have, ever since then. I remember just a few years ago, it was a big political football there that they were trying to lobby for the right to have a standing army again.
Yeah.
So
What's a big deal when they sent they sent like support troops to Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff. And
yeah,
that was a big deal in their country. Was like, because wait a minute, because you have a generation of people. It's like, hey, we kind of remember what happened last time Japan went to war, so not too keen on the idea.
yeah. Kishi used his conservative parliamentary majority to ratify the revised treaty while the opposition parties were boycotting the session. This was viewed as high-handed and undemocratic and provoked large-scale public demonstrations against Kishi. The protests led to the cancellation of a scheduled visit to Japan by U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower. I've got a short video here that'll show us what happened next.
Oh, okay.
This up.
Kishi resigns. His costly victory in pushing through the U.S.-Japanese Security Treaty has made Kishi too controversial a figure in Japanese politics. Here he votes for a successor to head the Liberal Democratic Party. The winner is Trade Minister Hayato Ikeda, later confirmed as Japan's 9th post-war prime minister. But a victory party for Kishi's pro-Western successor suddenly becomes the scene of a near tragedy. Kishi, stabbed 6 times in the thigh by a fanatic assailant, is rushed to a hospital. He suffers heavy loss of blood, but the injury is not critical. These pictures show the last of the would-be assassin, Taisuke Aramaki, member of a small ultra-nationalist group. Afterwards, the new prime minister pays a call on Kishi.
So kind of a haunting precursor to what would happen later to Shinzo Abe, which we'll cover at the end of this. And also goes to show you that there's kind of a tradition of this type of attack in Japan on political figures by radical revisionists and radical nationalists. So yeah, pretty fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, obviously, even as probably conservative as Kishi was, it's just the fact that it's like you went too far, and you always have people like that politically. It's like there's always someone that thinks like, oh, this is an extreme move, because from where they're sitting, any sort of compromise is too much.
Right.
But he survived his, so he got lucky. I mean, luckily back then, I guess it was knives. It wasn't guns.
Yeah. He lucked out there. For the rest of his life, Kishi remained devoted to the cause of revising the Japanese constitution to get rid of Article 9 and remilitarize Japan. In 1965, he gave a speech where he called for Japanese rearmament as a means of eradicating completely the consequences of Japan's defeat and the American occupation. It is necessary to enable Japan finally to move out of the post-war era and for the Japanese people to regain their self-confidence and pride as Japanese, end quote. In his final years, Kishi grew increasingly bitter that the constitutional revision had not yet come to pass. He remained in the Diet. I guess that it doesn't mean what it means here. It's not.
Yeah, no.
Until retiring from politics in 1979. Even after he retired, he remained a strong influence behind the scenes in LDP politics, the Liberal Democratic Party. After several months of illness, he died on August 7th, 1987. He lived to be 90, and this is the oldest picture they have of him here. So,
as I was coming into reality, he was going out.
Yep, pretty much, yeah. So his daughter, Yoko Kishi, married a politician, Shintaro Abe, during World War II. This is Shintaro Abe here.
Okay. Let's see where this is going.
Yep. Shintaro volunteered to be a kamikaze pilot, but the war ended before he was fully trained. He himself was from a political family, and his father was a member of parliament. Shintaro Abe was at one point considered a favorite to become prime minister himself, but he stepped aside and accepted a role as a secretary general of the Liberal Democratic Party until he was forced to resign due to an insider trading scandal. He had 3 children with Yoko. Shinzo was one of them. So let's take a look a little bit at Shinzo Abe's early life here. Probably a little hard to tell, but this is Shinzo sitting on his grandfather's lap, Kishi's lap here. Very early picture of him. This is taken in 1960. So he went on to graduate from Seikei University in Tokyo, and then moved to the U.S., where he studied political science at the University of Southern California, Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
So he was American educated, I guess you would say. In 1979, he returned to Japan and joined Kobe Steel Limited. He subsequently became active in the Liberal Democratic Party, of course.
Right,
Probably trading a lot on his, lineage. That when I named this episode, I named it the end of a conservative dynasty, because it really is. If you look at how power was basically handed from father to son to niece to nephew, just everybody that's connected to this guy kind of got like, so it really is kind of a political dynasty.
Shinzo was groomed from an early age.
Right.
I mean, you can even see it. His grandfather sitting here with him. It's like, okay. Yeah, like the other one, it's like, get off. Shinzo is the oldest. He's going to be inheriting political power. You'll have a nice job in a corporation that one of our friends has.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah, to get you started, and then as soon as we can work you into politics, we will. And he was. He subsequently became active, as I said, in the LDP. And in 1982, he began working as a secretary to his father, Abe Shintaro, who was then Japan's foreign minister. So, just strong, powerful political family all the way through. Despite scandal and what a lot of people would see as political failure, especially on the part of Kento, who was ousted, had to like defer his position because he just politically was not not successful in his main stated goal.
I mean, well, it makes sense too when you really think about it, because I mean, a constitution, while they can be amended, it's not easy. And I mean, look, America exerts, especially then, enormous influence over Japan. So this guy, obviously, his grandfather Kishi is like, we really want to amend this. And I mean, and honestly, that was one of the few things I did know about Shinzo is that he did kind of carry in his grandfather's footsteps in trying to overturn Article 9 or repeal it or whatever they have to do with their constitution.
It remains a major political platform piece of the Liberal Democratic Party to this day.
Oh, yeah.
And so the legacy of Shinzo Abe's family in Japan goes way beyond his lifespan.
Oh.
So in 2000, hold on. I think I might have skipped ahead of here. Then as private secretary, once again, to the party's secretary general. So he served under his father for a while, and then he became the private secretary to the party's secretary general. That's an influential post within the backroom environment of Japanese politics. So
that's like basically you have to learn the ropes.
Right. And you're the person that the secretary sends to do all the wheeling and dealing. So it's a great, it's seen as like a training type of thing. Where
so you live in Japan to have like basically it's just an updated version of like rule by like a monarchy. Really it is.
Well, they are monarchists, as we'll go over. They're absolute monarchists. Like they want to restore the power of the Japanese monarchy, basically.
I mean, you can just tell with this. It's like you go to this position, then you go to this position because you're not old enough. You don't know really enough a way to deal with people and these kind of back channels, and you have to learn how Japanese politics is played
and
how
business.
It works. And business is hand in hand, of course.
They get him that lucrative job with Kobe Steel, let him serve there for a few years, and then slowly start giving him more and more influential government. But you can just see it happening. And once again, like, I don't know why it strikes me as strange that he was so well regarded and that his family was so well regarded, given the kind of like failure of his preceding relatives. You know, his father is not remembered as a very super influential politician. I mean, he was influential in his day, but he's not well remembered. His grandfather was widely seen as a failure, and in fact, that was kind of codified when he was forced to step down. Yet he's still there. But then I think about it, and it's like, what do we have in America that's close to this? And I'm like, the Bush family,
right?
And it's like, George W. Bush, or George H.W. Bush was like one of the worst conservative presidents in American history. Definitely would be comparable in terms of political negatives with Trump. A one-term, deeply unpopular conservative president that just kind of felt lost in the role, and yet, years later, his son serves 2 terms as president. So this sort of thing happens even in Western societies.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, and I don't think it. I think we shouldn't fail to mention just the fact that when you look at this, it's like we see it as a failure, but at the same time, it didn't really stop anyone's political careers. Like, yeah, maybe they didn't have the top post, but it's not necessarily always the end of power.
No.
Because as you see, the top post can be very. You get a lot of heat. You get a lot of if you make bad decisions. Of course, you'll be ousted. So sometimes these people don't necessarily want to be in the forefront. They want to be the back channel person. They want to be the person that no one's really thinking about until maybe later on when they can solidify their political power a little more.
Right. His father died in 1991, and the son's political ambitions deepened. He in 1993 he was elected in a landslide from a Yamaguchi Prefecture district to Japan's House of Representatives, which is the lower chamber in the Japanese Diet. At first, he sometimes behaved like a pampered scion of a political dynasty. Hirasawa, one of his legislative mentors, once noted him reading a manga comic book during a diet session, which I guess was a scandal at the time. And was dismayed.
That's nice.
Yeah, he's reading manga.
Well, it sounds like what you described is Japan has largely had one party control. So, I mean, him reading a manga during the fucking session, it's probably about as useful as participating.
It gets better than that. So the guy called him out right there on in the house, right? He's like, hey, he's reading a manga. And even being called out and busted in front of everybody, he refused to put the comic book down and just kept reading it.
He's like, you know who I am.
It's like, fuck you, man. I'm Shinzo Abe, bro. I don't have to pay attention to this shit.
Yeah, seriously.
So that's kind of a, I don't know. I don't like his politics, but that's kind of a baller maneuver.
Look at this comment. Help.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I can imagine that. Bow, please.
Please bow. Please bow.
Let me make the Japanese version of Jeb's life. Please bow.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, please bow.
Maybe that's how we get past, getting sued or whatever. Because I want to make up his whole life, man. The Jeb movie I have in my head is fucking brilliant. I just wish I was a screenwriter. Anyway, soon. Abe was angling for the party posts that were well-trodden pathways to the real power in Japan. Newspapers dubbed him the Prince of Politics. So even the newspapers are alluding to the monarchist kind of sentiment and to the fact that, he's from a political dynasty. Yeah, so
they're acknowledging it's a matter of time is what they're basically saying. Like, this guy is not, it's not when this guy's going to be in charge of the country. It's not it's not an if, it's a when.
Right.
Excuse me.
In 2000, his home and the office of his supporters in Shimonoseki in Yamaguchi Prefecture were attacked with Molotovs on not one, but numerous occasions. The perpetrators were several Yakuza members belonging to the Kudo Kai. It's a syndicate in Japan. The reason for the attacks was believed to be that Abe's local aide refused to give cash to a real estate broker in return for supporting a mayoral candidate. So it's like mob politics, basically.
Exactly.
The mob wants to get their puppet into the mayorship, and they're going around and greasing palms, and the guy refuses to take the money, and as a result, they are firebombing his headquarters and home.
Well, I'll just say this. If you're refusing the Yakuza, you either you're just insane or you have someone with a bigger dick backing you up. That's really I have a feeling we know in this case which one it was. Like it's like, yeah, you guys might have a lot of power in society here, but like the political dynasty, if you fuck with us, you actually will die. It's like because normally you can't really threaten the Yakuza. You can't really like you can, but only if you're part of like the government, the real power structure.
It's another topic that I think I'd like to maybe do an episode on down the road. One of the things that I've recently done in order to kind of break the malaise of being caught up in the spin cycle of American politics and political news and shit is I've tried to start learning a little bit about, or like at least paying attention to the political situations in other countries more than I usually do.
There's some crazy stuff. Have you heard about the stuff? I don't make too much of an aside here, but Sri Lanka.
Yeah. Sri Lanka has basically collapsed.
Oh yeah, dude, it's insane. I mean, I think it happens other countries too. Because you like the BBC, like they cover tons of American news. I think this like American news is just so fascinating to so many people because we're a giant shit show. I mean, even when things are going well in America, we're still a shit show. We're still like entertainment for other people. Like, what's going on in America? Oh man, those poor Americans.
Right.
So yeah, no, I agree with you. I definitely like to read world news. I mean, world news is fascinating in its own right because the way politics works in other countries or just their history is just so much different. So it's like it's interesting to learn about other cultures and not be so America centric all the time.
Yeah. And so in that vein, I think that learning a little bit about one of the things I've been learning about too, not to once again, I mean, it doesn't matter. We can banter all we want. It's our fucking show. Yeah. I'm also recently, like the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been really into watching sumo.
Really?
Which I've never really I've seen a couple of things of before this, but like I'm like starting to familiarize myself with current because I found a couple of channels on YouTube that are in English that do match highlight reels and shit and let you watch matches of the big guys. And so I'm starting to learn some of the names. And as I dig into sumo, it's just really like, it's super fucking interesting to me to learn about something that isn't American, maybe I'm turning Japanese, Scotty.
Oh shit, dude. You're becoming you're not gonna become a weeb though, right?
No, I'm turning Japanese in the 80s sense. Send $2 if you're glad he's dead. Send $1.99 if you're sad he's dead. Send $2.01 if you don't give a shit. Yeah, all right.
Who's this amazing atheist character?
Yeah, isn't that fucking alt-right loser? That anti-SJW fucking weirdo greasy neckbeard guy from back in the day?
I heard he shoved a banana up his butt.
Yeah. You're right, dude. I forgot about that. Banana butt. Oh, banana. Oh, shit.
He wears a banana hammock and he puts a banana up his butt.
Yeah, no, I'm turning Japanese in the 80s song sense. That was pre-weeb. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. Because I'm gonna do all the cool Japanese stuff.
Dude, apparently there's even a distinction. I was reading about this one time was between weebs and weeaboos. There's people that are like, look, a weeb is okay, but a weeaboo is when you go too far.
Yeah, I thought weeb was just a shortening of weeaboo. That's how I've been using it, but apparently you're right. They're two distinct. Like a weeb is just somebody who's a little more into anime than they should be, and a weeaboo is somebody that literally is trying to become a Japanese person.
Oh, yeah, anime existed in the 80s. Oh yeah, I know. I started watching anime not in the 80s. I won't say that, but in the like mid to early 90s when they started coming to America and like the bad dubs. Like I watched Akira. Yeah, which was the first dub of it was not that great, and that's before I realized you have to be pretentious and watch the subtitles.
in my shitty little town, it never was a big thing. I only got my hands on 2 of them, and I didn't even really understand the concept of anime at that point. It wasn't, to me, it was just a weird foreign cartoon thing that was cool. I watched Vampire Hunter D way back in the day.
Oh yeah, I watched that one too, the original one.
Yeah. And then I watched this one that nobody fucking remembers. It scores me points if I'm hanging out with weebs. It's called Project Aiko. And it was another like high school girls with powers type of thing. Like there was Aiko, Biko, and Seiko. And
I remember TJ and me watched this one, Ranma 1/2, which is like,
yeah. I've seen Ranma as well.
Yeah, like there was like a bunch of just like it was like a random smattering of different anime movies and shows that would be brought over. And that was before like the weeb shit was even big. So it wasn't even like at the time, like, and it was funny. It's like I actually fooled my mom and like my stepmom at the time because it was like it's a cartoon until one of them looked at the box and it's like, why is this rated NC-17? It's like,
no comment.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, no. Anime, there were people that watched anime back in the day, but it was done like casually. People weren't like decorating their whole fucking car with it and shit, you know?
Oh, dude, there was the weeaboo car in Mandeville, dude. Me and Taylor would always be like, it's the weeaboo car, because it was literally just a bunch of like otaku sort of like anime girls, like
yep,
you know, like big eyes, all this stuff, a bunch of bumper stickers from various animes and shit. I was like, every time we saw the guy, like, I remember me and Taylor were discussing, like, dude, at the time we hadn't seen it, it was a white dude, but we're like, who could it be? She's like, maybe it's a Japanese girl that really just, you know, she happens to like anime. I'm like, if that's not like a middle-aged white dude driving around that, then fuck life. And of course it was. I saw him going to a Japanese restaurant one time. I had the pleasure of seeing that. I'm like, yep, you check out. You check. This is exactly who I expect to see driving the anime weeb mobile.
Yep. That's awesome. So back to Shinzo. He was the chief negotiator for the Japanese government on behalf of the families of Japanese abductees taken from North Korea. As a part of the effort, he accompanied Koizumi, pictured here, to meet Kim Jong-il in 2002. And he gained national popularity when he demanded that Japanese abductees visiting Japan remain in the country in defiance of North Korea. He was a leader of a project team within the LDP that conducted a survey on, quote, excessive sexual education and gender-free education, end quote. Among the items to which this team raised objections were anatomical dolls used in sex ed and other curricular materials, quote, not taking into consideration the age of children, end quote. School policies banning traditional boys and girls festivals and mixed gender phys ed.
Yeah.
So once again, this is the Liberal Democratic Party. You know what I mean? Just don't be fooled by the name.
Yeah, sounds like something would happen in America now.
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean, if I were to tell you that there was a fucking bunch of politicians that were starting to push this and you didn't look into it, you'd have no reason to disbelieve me. You know what I mean? They're going after sex ed. They're banning mixed gender sports and phys ed and shit.
Yeah, well, that's just because a lot of Americans have a puddle deep understanding of Japan, I think. I mean, and I'm not saying I'm much better. I mean, I'm
definitely not any better.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just starting to kind of like look into things with this episode. So yeah, they were very just sexually conservative, which is strangely enough pretty common in Japan. Seems to be like the national
sexually repressed.
Yeah, like simultaneously incredibly sexually deviant, but outwardly very repressed, which sounds a whole lot like America as well, but whatever. The team sought to provide a contrast to the Democratic Party of Japan, which it alleged supported such policies. So there's the liberal Democratic Party, and then there's the Democratic Party, which I guess they tried to paint as like socialists. They like anatomical dolls being given to kids.
it's just a typical ploy for politics. It's that you hiding behind the smokescreen of, oh, it's for kids.
Right.
And making basically a non-issue into an issue to drum up support amongst their base.
So I thought I would look into, and we'd cover for just a second, a little bit about Shinzo Abe's political party. We've talked about it here, the Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP. It has been in power pretty much continuously since its foundation in 1955, which is pictured here. This is, the founding of the party and the winning of its seat in the government. So
it was nice when they rigged it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, come on, dude. Like, oh yeah, we won. Yeah, I'm sure that was in doubt. They had the backing. Look. I mean, like, this is backroom board dealing. Like, America had all this industry. Japan was at this time probably really, and I mean, they're basically post-industrial. Japan was like really ascended. I mean, the birth rates were shooting up in Japan. Industry was coming to Japan. Like, they wanted loans from American business and corporations and the U.S. government. So it was just like, whoever's going to back that's going to get the votes, because like, hey, we're going to bring you jobs.
Right.
So this is like I mean, look, it's this one was at least a sham. Maybe later on it was more legit, but now, I mean, that's when I have no doubt saying this is bullshit.
Of course it was. The only time that this party hasn't been in power is from 1993 to 1994. There was a brief Democratic Party takeover, and then it happened again a little longer this time, but still insignificant given the overall dominance that it's had in Japan. 2009 to 2012, the Democratic Party was able to gain the majority, but ever since 2012, the LDP has maintained its dominance in Japan. It's often described as a big tent conservative party with several ideological factions ranging from moderates to right-wing nationalists and everything in between. The party's history and internal composition have been characterized by intense factionalism ever since its emergence in 1955, with parliamentary rulers currently split amongst 6 factions. Each vies for influence in the party and thus in the government. Abe was affiliated with the ultra-conservative revisionist organization Nippon Kage, translate, I guess, Japan Conference. So his wing in the Liberal Democratic Party, which is broadly conservative already, is the conservative wing. So he's the conservative of the Conservative Party.
Fuck, dude. And, I mean, it sounds like a really like a balanced act, because I mean, this is most politics. You know, like if they talk about like conservatives in America as like an analog, there's several factions within those groups. You know what I mean? And obviously Japan is no exception to that. But you're saying within those factions, he was part of the most conservative mainstream faction in Japan.
Right. So what's their platform? It's kind of hard to figure out, but in the words of Hideki Kase, who's an influential member of Nippon Kage, we are dedicated to our conservative cause. We are monarchists. We are for revising the Constitution, and we are for the glory of the nation. So basically, we're monarchist, ultra-nationalist, conservative, social conservatives, basically.
So basically what it sounds like to me is we want Japan to be like it was before all this shit, like before World War II.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, they're the let's get back to the good old days and let's erase World War II and
Look,
just
we need to make
Japan.
Yeah, let's make Japan great again.
Yes, make Japan great again. Yeah,
that's literally what it is. So okay, so now those Japanese people supporting Trump, it kind of makes sense because they see like it seems like that's what like some of them actually want. It's like, look, we want to make Japan great again. We want to go back to the way it was after World War II. The soul of Japan was perverted. Like, and look, we're willing to make a deal with the devil, but only long enough to defeat the devil and go back to where we were.
Right. That's basically their party. Some have called the political wing Nippon Kaigi a cult, an extremist form of the Shinto religion. Broadly speaking, Shinto is a polytheistic and animist religion native to Japan.
Right.
The state-sponsored Shintoism promulgated here before World War II and during it also elevated the emperor to the status of a god and insisted the Japanese were divine, like a divine race.
Of course.
The
divine right of
Yamato.
kings. Yeah.
Yeah. With all other races considered inferior. The current Nippon Kaigi's cult goals gut Japan's post-war pacifist constitution, end sexual equality, kick out foreigners, void pesky human rights laws, and return Japan to its imperial glory.
Yep. So yeah, I called it. Like, yeah, not knowing their actual platform, but the one sentence or two sentences you read from that party guy, it was like, yeah, that's enough. It's like, let's go back to the way things were. This equality shit, bullshit. Men should dominate everything in society. Women should be at home. We should have an emperor that ultimately, if society gets, and I mean, there's a certain appeal to that to a certain group of people, I think. And I mean, and all people in some respects, it's like if there's a standstill, the puppet comes in and goes, "Oh, this is the decision now." And can you question it? You can't, because it's like saying it's like questioning God. It's like,
right? Can
you question God? No. So that's the decision.
Yeah. And it's just a very ultra nationalist, like racist based ideology.
Yeah,
it's comparable to like white nationalism. This idea that the white race is somehow divinely above all the other races and meant to rule over them and blah 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 blah. That's that's their platform in Japan. Basically, Japanese people are born better than everybody else. We're gods. We're basically children of God, and our emperor is fucking God. And we do his bidding, kind of.
I mean, the astonishing thing, because I mean, in American politics, if you openly say that, it's not politically palatable. You can believe that, you can work towards that, but if you're ever called on it in modern America, you have to be no, I'm not racist at all. Japan, they're basically just like, they tell you just out front, like, this is what we want.
Yep.
So we're
That's
about.
What we are.
It's like, okay, that's cool. I support them.
So another important part of Nippon Kaigi is undercutting or outright denying Japan's war crimes. Nippon Kaigi believes that Japan should be applauded for liberating much of East Asia from Western colonial powers. That the 1946 to 48 Tokyo war crimes tribunals were totally illegitimate.
Right.
And that killings by Imperial Japanese troops during the 1937 Nanjing massacre were exaggerated or fabricated.
Right. So bullshit. And not even they were justified. It just didn't happen that way. Like, right. A couple people got killed. It wasn't massive slaughter. So when the Doolittle raids happened, which was when the U.S. bombed Japan from China, because the Chinese were allied with America during World War II. The Japanese, which stuff you're referring to, they slaughtered 250,000 Chinese people, and they deny that to this day.
Right.
At the World War II Museum, you can even read about it, which is like, it's astonishing. It's like, what? And literally, because they wanted them to give up the Americans, but they wouldn't, because they knew they were attacking Japan. So they're like, no, we won't do it. And so it's like, but it's astonishing. Yeah, their version of Holocaust denial. It really is. I mean, it's genocide. It's pure genocide.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my TJ's favorite actors, Toshiro Mifune, was actually born in Manchuria during Japanese occupation of China.
Yeah. And this is a Trump crazy. Rally / super, right nationalist parade in Japan here. So just like it's all fucking tied together.
Man, it's just astonishing to be in another country and holding water for an American politician. But dude, the Japanese kind of, it's like, it's kind of like, in a way, Stockholm syndrome. You know what I mean? It's like America's had such a dick in their ass for so long because of what they did to us like 70 years ago. And some of the people are like, you know what? That guy over there has got it right. And we saw that, but it wasn't even that small. It wasn't like there was like 10 people. It was like, there was a good number of people supporting Trump in Japan and like hoping in 2020 that Trump would be reelected. Obviously he wasn't, but I've just never seen that before. I've never seen I definitely saw some cult of personality with Obama, but I didn't really see it like, oh, I hope he's reelected. Maybe just in a tertiary way, but not like, hey, let's hold a rally and hope Trump wins or hope Obama wins or whoever.
Yep. The group also vigorously defends Japan's claim in its territorial dispute over the Senkaku Islands with China, and denies that Japan forced the comfort women during World War II. They all just decided they wanted to be whores. There was nobody running them, of course, right?
Yeah, I mean, they wanted it.
They just went from being normal village people to like, you know what I want to do right now at this time when we're being invaded and fucking at war? I want to be a whore and just travel around and blow as many dudes as fucking I can, dude. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that happens all the time in war. It for some reason the like children get they get turned into slave labor but they're happy to do it. They don't want to play and be educated and laugh. They want to do slave labor for whoever's occupying them. Women want to just have sex with them, and men there just want to die, but they're fighting against them, so they have to.
Yep.
Strange how that works.
And you can also see why this sect was so attractive to Shinzo Abe, because as we covered, his grandfather was a Class A war criminal after Japan's surrender and pushed to revise the post-war constitution when he was prime minister. So he's just basically kind of carrying his grandfather's legacy. So it really is a dynasty. And so let's talk a little bit about his tenure as prime minister. What was he known for, and what did he do?
Okay.
He was the longest serving prime minister in Japanese history, when you count his 2 terms. He was the first Japanese prime minister born after the war. But the conflict's legacy, especially a pacifist constitution put in place by American occupiers, which officially renounced war as a sovereign right of the Japanese nation, was never far from his mind. He inherited his father and grandfather's nationalist politics.
Yeah,
he made, as we covered here, he made it a goal to revise the Constitution, strengthen the nation's military, officially now known as the Self-Defense Force.
Right.
And make Japan what he called a, quote, normal country. Abe was 52. He became Japan's youngest post-war prime minister in 2006. Some viewed him as a symbol of change, but others regard him as a product of the Japanese elite. A third-generation politician who'd been groomed for leadership, as we showed here, from a very young age.
Yeah, I agree with the latter.
Yeah, the latter were correct.
He was definitely groomed.
He definitely was not bringing any change. His politics are almost identical to his grandfather's.
I mean, if anything, he's part of a regression.
Yeah.
Of Japanese politics, because it's like saying, let's go back to the path that led us to literally almost the destruction of this nation that we're talking about. I don't see how that makes much sense, but people idealize the past because obviously, he was born as a product of that. And, he grew up around that. He grew up hearing from his grandparents and the people that surround him, like, that was the best Japan. I know this Japan, terrible. That Japan was beautiful. It was beautiful. You could do whatever you wanted. That's basically what it sounds like to me. Back in old Japan, these guys weren't fucking questioned. And if they were, that person was killed or disappeared or thrown in jail, and they weren't a problem anymore. Right. Now it's like they have, there's these pesky rules and stuff. It's like, oh, man, we need to go back to the way it was before. We can just do whatever the fuck we wanted.
So when he got his first term, it was plagued by scandal and discord and was capped by an abrupt resignation. So he actually had a pretty brief first term as prime minister. And he says he had chronic bowel complaints. Yeah. That's why he stepped down. He had
bowels. I can't handle it.
He had chronic bowels. But critics believe the political turmoil of the previous 12 months had been largely responsible for his downfall. Yeah, thank you guys, by the way, for the donations.
Appreciate it, guys.
Critics believed the political turmoil of the previous 12 months, like I said, and that's what it was. It wasn't his bowels, trust me.
Yeah, shit wasn't looking good, and he didn't want to. I mean, look, honestly, it's political acumen. It's what it is. Knowing he can get this position again, things aren't going well, but if he keeps on this path, I mean, and look, dude, he has a template. He has people in his family literally that held this position already. So it's like he has people advising him, like, you don't need to, like, if shit's not going well, come back later.
Right. So of course, as Scotty said, he comes to power a second time, this time in late 2012. And at that point, Japan seemed adrift. Its economic miracle was long past, and the traumas of the 2011 earthquake and tsunami were still fresh. Abe brought energy and national confidence back to Japanese politics and government. It was a MAGA movement, basically.
Yeah.
It came at a time when America was really being fucking battered, or sorry, Japan. I'm just making the comparison in my head. Japan was really being battered by internal conflict and economic downturn and multiple fucking horrible natural disasters. And it was a MAGA movement in Japan, basically. A lot of people think that Trump's campaign had a lot to do, or learned a lot from Shinzo Abe in terms of how obviously wasn't as boisterous. Japan is a much more conservative place. So he maintained like what we would probably call like stiff upper lip dignity or whatever, but it was the message that came out of his rise to power again was basically, let's make Japan great again.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and I mean, a country really like that. I mean, dude, Japan had, I mean, if you look at the ascendancy of Japan from the post-World War II industrialization of Japan, I mean, a massive skyrocketing birth rate, industrialization. I mean, Japan industrialized super fast on that time scale. I mean, their economy came really close to matching the United States. There was a real estate bubble in Japan where like the acreage that the Emperor of Japan holds was worth more than California.
Yeah.
Like it was insane what happened in Japan. Like there was this massive economic bubble. That bubble burst. You know, Japan goes through downtimes, deflation, their economy sucks, their population starts going down. So this message is going to resonate with a lot of people. It's like, hey, you know, we've lost our way. We were facing natural disaster. We're facing ruin. And this guy's like, no, we don't suck. You think we suck? Like, you know, and it's like, and it's so much easier to hear that message because like, look, maybe we need to really look at things. Maybe we need to change things. And it's like, no, the past was actually better. That when we were doing what we were doing before, that was the smart thing. Before World War II, we were on the right path. We were ascended. Now look what we've done. This sucks.
Yep. Abe himself rode back into office on a promise to revive Japan's moribund economy. Sound familiar at all?
Right.
Abenomics, Abenomics, as it came to be called, consisted of 3 arrows. At his insistence, the Bank of Japan would engage in aggressive monetary easing. Tokyo would boost fiscal spending, and Mr. Abe,
government stimulus.
Yeah, and Mr. Abe would spearhead an economic reform and liberalization drive. So deregulation of the economy, massive government giveaways to the large business concerns in Japan, making them flush with money, and thus the idea is that they go into hyperdrive or whatever, easing the tax burden on the higher echelon of society, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it makes sense because it's like, look, prop up Japanese industry, make them feel secure, make them feel like they have nothing but money to spend, so they'll invest more money into the Japanese economy. I mean, really, just something to try to get the Japanese economic engine growing. But really, I mean, in a capitalist society, having less population and no immigration, there's less people to consume. So it's hard for Japan not to be in a deflationary state just simply because of that. There's less people to consume. You have less people to consume. What are you going to do? So you can sell more to the existing population, but if the number keeps dropping every year, it's pretty difficult to do.
True. So his economic policies, this was going to shock you, Scotty, because this shocked me. I thought it would have been the opposite. His economic policies, deficit spending, and monetary tinkering to end years of deflation fueled corporate profits and the stock market and weakened the yen, helping fuel a tourism boom.
Oh, I guess there is that.
Yeah, so he brought some tourism to Japan, I guess. You gotta give him that. Just at the expense of everybody in Japan that wasn't a big corporate CEO.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and tourism jobs, as we know, are traditionally,
transient and shitty. And
they're not great jobs. So it's like, I mean, it did help the Japanese economy somewhat. I'm not going to say it didn't, but overall, the basic fundamental engine of Japan's economic growth, I I mean, which was basically industrialization, like Sony. So many big brands, like, and so many products were made in Japan. Toyota, Honda, like all these big companies were like, that's how Japan got big. It's kind of like what happened with China now. It's like this big industrialization. But then at a certain point, it's like, where are you going to sell this shit? You got to sell it to somebody. And if they can't afford it, or there's not enough people to sell to, where does it go? Oh, we'll sell it overseas. That works for a time. But
Right.
there's so much competition in the world. So it's like, and we're getting more and more people. These things are becoming more and more scarce. Resources are becoming less. It's like, it's just really a product of what's going on in our global society.
Yep. Definitely a microcosm in Japan for sure. But by the time he quit, many of the gains that he, would crow about had utterly reversed. His detractors say he failed to change the status quo, which I don't know why they would think he would change the status. He's like literally an agent of the status quo.
I mean, he's the ultra dodeca status quo.
Yeah.
Like fuck the status quo. He wants to regress. Like, so like, I don't know what they're thinking. He didn't change much. Like, but you see, it's kind of crazy. He's a conservative politician in another country and highly conservative, pushing economic stimulus from the government, which is like,
but once again, America, there's a parallel between him and Trump in that way too, because a lot of the people that voted Trump were like, well, he's not part of the status quo. And if you actually look at the Trump presidency, he was pretty much an agent of that status quo the entire time.
Oh yeah.
So, whatever.
Corporate welfare, sure. I mean, like they're always in favor of that. But I mean, when you look at the stimulus, that's mainly what it was. I'm sure there was some token giveaways to get the Japanese people on board with it, but for the most part, it was probably just giant giveaways to massive corporations.
He also failed to reverse Japanese economic decline and actually just worsened foreign relations, particularly with South Korea, because of their ultra-nationalistic policies and denial of war crimes and yada, 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 by disputing the history of Japan's misdeeds during the Second World War. It's pretty well known that Japan was utterly brutal to the entire South Pacific during that war. Erasing that history has become, a big deal in Japan, I guess. Abe was instrumental in winning the 2020 Olympic Games for Tokyo after convincing officials at the International Olympic Committee in 2013 that the nuclear accident at Fukushima Daiichi was under control. 2 years after a triple meltdown at the power plant after a tsunami hit it.
Oh, everything's good. Don't worry about that.
Millions who tuned in to a handover ceremony of the 2016 Rio Games watched and remember his cameo here as
me, a Mario.
It's a me, a Shinzo Abe. I'm gonna I mean, I guess people loved it, so good on him.
We didn't commit no war crimes. You a lie.
Woohoo! Those numbers are exaggerated.
It's a Bowser done it. It's all a Bowser. It's like, all right, bro.
But just dress up like fucking Mario and everybody loves you. I love politics.
I mean, that's true, dude. I mean, like, I mean, even knowing everything you've told me, I still like the fact that he's dressed up as Mario. I can't deny it.
Among his crazier attempts in politics, he floated this idea of some NATO-style arrangement with America to share nukes with Japan as a hedge against aggression by a nuclear-armed China. It's a proposal that infuriated many in the only country in the world to have suffered a nuclear attack. So,
right. Like, hey, remember that? Oh, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
We got nuked a couple times. Come on, it was in the past.
Nevertheless, he overcame multiple scandals and became the longest serving leader in Japan's history, overtaking his uncle, Eisaku Sato. So, once again, just family lineage in Japan, basically a monarchy.
Yeah, third time's the charm, huh?
Yeah. His sheer resilience marks him as one of the country's most notable leaders. You can't take that from him. Unlike Trump, he was incredibly successful at holding power. Typical of his forthright approach was his early political embrace of Donald Trump, of course. Why not? They're both they both have the same ultimate goals: to continue to empower the elite, to continue to empower corporations, to ease the tax burden on people like them.
Yeah.
While the rest of the world dithered and, militaristic and fucking bellicose and stuff. They were made for each other. Of course he endorsed Donald Trump. While the rest of the world dithered about how to deal with America's unpredictable new president-elect, Abe just went to meet him. He brought him a gold-plated golf driver as a gift.
Dude, Abe just knew Trump, man. Like,
yep.
Dude, I love that, because I remember that was the first guy, like, big foreign leader he met with, and you can tell, like, Abe here has like no hesitation. He's like, oh, I like this guy. This guy's perfect for me. This is the perfect American leader this is like our ideal American leader, honestly.
Yeah. Some noted that Abe had a better rapport with strongmen such as Trump than his more liberal predecessor, Barack Obama. And I think that that's true.
Oh, yeah. I mean, undoubtedly. Like, look what they represent.
Of course. Abe fought for a more muscular military role as America's ally in Asia, pushing through a controversial reinterpretation of Japan's war-renouncing constitution. So he managed to at least get the constitution changed in that regard.
That's I don't know what the process is in Japan, but that's pretty astonishing. They were able to do anything at all with that.
Considering that it had not changed before that, it's probably an incredibly complex process, but he managed to push it through. Even after leaving office, complaining of ill health, he continued to be a force in conservative politics. He led the biggest faction during the ruling Liberal Democratic Party and advocated increased military spending, amongst other things. So I guess we can learn a little bit about his personal life here, because it's interesting, as the rest of his life is.
Oh, yeah.
He's married to, or was married to, Aki Matsuzaki. Cool name.
Yeah.
Socialite and former radio disc. Oh, well, that makes sense. Aki Matsuzaki in the morning. Scooter and the Hog with Aki Matsuzaki in the morning on 95.7 The Fox. So she was a former radio disc jockey in 1987. She's the daughter of the president of Morinaga, which is a chocolate manufacturer. So just a,
silver spoon.
Right, silver spoon kid. She had a reputation for being vocal about her progressive views, which often ran counter to those of her conservative politician husband. So this is kind of something that is different, that you wouldn't see in America, probably, because typically in America, when we elect a president, his wife becomes like a mouthpiece for him, basically.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
They would never be caught like contradicting the president in public or anything. They're very politically aware in that way. And apparently Aki Matsuzaki was not. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's not something I would have expected. To be honest with you. I mean, especially for someone as like hardline as Shinzo Abe was, to be with somebody that's like, actually you're wrong. Like you're wrong about all this shit. Like, wait a minute. But
apparently Shinzo's mom hated her for it, though. Her mother-in-law and she were known to have a very rocky relationship as a result of the fact that she would constantly, oppose Shinzo in public speeches and shit.
He didn't give a fuck, apparently, though.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like, it's so interesting to me that they worked as a couple. You know what I mean? Because it just shows a profound ability to set aside politics or whatever and look at each other as human beings. I think it's just an interesting dynamic that you wouldn't. It's runs counter to what you usually would expect. Like I said, typically the wives of big political figures or the husbands of big political figures are nothing if not mouthpieces for that government.
Yeah.
So
that's a general rule. Yeah.
And she earned the moniker of domestic opposition amongst the local media. She said, I want to pick up and pass on the views that don't get through to my husband or his circle, Mrs. Abe, who speaks fluent English, told Bloomberg in a 2016 interview. This is a bit like an opposition party, I suppose. She had previously openly challenged Mr. Abe's key policies, including his support for nuclear power, the expansion of U.S. military base in Japan, and the setting up of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP.
I mean, yeah, yeah, I was like, is this some token shit? It's like, no, it's pretty much like his entire policy platform is like, no, that's wrong.
Yep. It goes even deeper than that. She was also known to be outspoken on women's rights, medical marijuana, and has supported the LGBT cause, taking part in a pride parade in Tokyo in 2014 while Shinzo was still prime minister. So that's like very straight. It would be like, I don't know, like Laura Bush or whatever burning her bra out in front of the White House, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like what? Like, wait a minute.
They had no children together. They were undergoing unsuccessful fertility treatments to try and make it happen earlier in their marriage. And his assassination is pretty much, it means the end of the dynasty that we've been talking about tonight. Because he didn't have any children, and there are no, there are no more members of this family that are poised to be political entities in Japan. That doesn't mean that one of them, a cousin or something, won't rise up. But at this point, it looks like his dynasty is over, and that's very interesting.
I mean, I think it speaks to the Japanese culture as a whole, though. Just having way less children. They, for whatever reason, were not able to have children, even though they wanted to. And I mean, 'cause a lot of people view that as like, that's like the future of your nation, right? Is that, as obviously, everyone's born, they live and they die. But Japan obviously is undergoing a decrease in population. So the fact that Shinzo did not have any children, you're right. There's nothing to carry on at this point.
Yep. So, according to the Fire and Disaster Management Agency and the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications in Tokyo, Abe was shot in the right side of the neck at around 11:30 a.m. local time, Friday, July 8th, 2022. He was speaking at so politically active right up until the end at a campaign rally ahead of Japan's upper house elections on the following Sunday. Japan's public media organization NHK reported that the suspect was arrested at the scene and initially charged with attempted murder. CNN reported that a team of 20 medical professionals immediately began treating him. Doctors at Nara Medical University said Abe was struck by a bullet deep enough to reach his heart at a press conference, but surgeons had found it impossible to stem the bleeding, and he died. Amelia told me that she read somewhere that they put 100 units of blood through him trying to save him.
Fuck.
So it just kind of shows you his status in society still. I mean, they literally went above, beyond, and beyond.
Yeah,
they let him bleed out a whole 100 fucking units of blood.
Yeah, they just couldn't. I mean, obviously, whatever happened, they were not able to surgically repair it. So I mean, he was just dead.
Hitadaki Fukushima, the professor in charge of emergency medicine at Nara Medical University Hospital, told this to a televised news conference. Clearly, they wanted to do everything in their power to try and save the prominent politician. So this is kind of interesting. The police say the gunman had admitted to shooting Abe with a handmade firearm he fashioned out of metal and wood, like a homemade shotgun, basically like a Mad Max shotgun.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Fuck, dude. I remember just reading about this story, and I was just like, what? Because Japan is just like, it's not a country you really associate with this kind of thing. I mean, obviously, you showed that was probably an incorrect assumption, because his grandfather was actually survived an attempted assassination.
Yeah, stabbed multiple times and lived through it.
Obviously, for Shinzo, didn't end well. Didn't end up the way I'm sure he would have wanted. And apparently, these events in Japan, it's not like when Trump met with people or something where it's like he's flanked by the Secret Service. There's got sniper nests, all kinds of shit. Like, it's a lot more up close and personal still there.
The suspect said that he bore a grudge against a specific organization, unquote, and believed that Abe was part of it, and that his grudge was not about politics. So whether or not that's true or not, I kind of call into question. I think that you know, if this dude was like, hell yeah, I fucking killed him because he's a fascist piece of shit, it would probably, like, in a government like this, they would probably suppress that and release some other thing.
Yeah,
but who knows? You know, maybe he is a crazy guy that thought that Shinzo was in the Illuminati or some shit. Maybe he was,
maybe,
you know, an Alex Jones guy or something. I don't know. The police said, adding it was not clear if the unnamed organization actually existed. So the story coming out of the police doesn't make any sense. He didn't. He did this because Shinzo was part of an organization, completely apolitical organization.
Right.
And I'm not going to tell you what the organization is, and blah blah blah. That's it. So
yeah, he was part of something that was bad, and because he was part of something bad, I killed him.
Had nothing to do with the politics of Shinzo Abe, though.
Which makes very little sense because he was a politician. So
right.
You know, it's like, I mean, I guess it's possible. Maybe this guy was mentally ill. I don't know. You know, a funny thing I saw was a bunch of conservative Americans and politicians seizing on this, like, oh, look at gun control in Japan. Look how well it worked.
Right.
It's like, okay, yeah, it's crazy, but he was also a massively known political figure in that country. And political figures have these kind of attempts in their lives all the time. You know, think people threaten to kill major politicians in the US and every country in the world constantly because someone gets pissed off. Like, it happens constantly.
Yep.
So it's nothing new, but Japan's rate of gun violence is still significantly lower. So the policy itself is still effective. Is it always effective? No, there's still gun deaths in Japan, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the world in Japan. Private citizens are outright barred from owning handguns, and licensed hunters only may own rifles. And even after that, only after attending classes. They basically do what we should do here. Like, limit the amount of these weapons availability to, you know, to the extent that you test people before you sell them the fucking weapon. They have to maintain a licensure for it, just like a car, you know?
Yeah.
So you got to go in every once in a while and prove you're not fucking insane. You know what I mean? And get relicensed. They even have to pass a written test and undergo a complete mental health evaluation and a background check. However, considering that this is only the second shooting death in Japan this year, compared to the dozens of mass shootings in the United States, I'd say their gun laws are probably working.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's even comparable. I mean, assassinating a politician is totally different than random acts of violence. It really is. I mean, and I don't think he was a great guy by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't believe assassination is really a good thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, however you feel about the guy, it's like, I don't think he deserved to be gunned down on the fucking street.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't advocate for that sort of thing either. Because that way lies anarchy. And, you know, I'm not an anarchist.
No, not fun. I mean, like, I understand the fatalistic appeal to some people of that, but it's like, it just creates a power vacuum.
Right. And it creates a precedent that means that we have a culture of, you know, assassinating large politicians and shit. And what happens if you get somebody elected that you like a Martin Luther King-esque figure comes around and they get elected? You know, there's already a precedent of, if we don't like him, kill him. It's just bad all around. If the assassin's goals, as I suspect, were to thwart Shinzo Abe, he got shot in the throat.
No.
Was to thwart Shinzo Abe's political goals. His attack enabled just the opposite. The elections went forward 2 days after his assassination, and predictably, the LDP, the long-standing Liberal Democratic Party of Conservatives, had a strong showing after the attack. Abe would probably be happy to see that his party made a comfortable majority. So,
not too shocking, though. I mean, like, that definitely bolsters the standing of the party at the polls with that. I mean, it gets on everyone's mind, like, oh shit.
Yep. The conservative LDP won a list. They won 63 seats, more than half of the 125 seats up for grabs. Quote, "It's significant we were able to pull this election together at a time of violence was shaking the foundations of this election." The current Prime Minister Kishida, who's an Abe protege, said after the exit poll. While the upper house is less powerful of the Japanese parliament's two chambers, The victory solidifies Kishida's political base and will probably help him push ahead with key policy issues, including possibly revising Japan's pacifist constitution again, a cause Abe championed during his 9 years in power, and one that would require a 2/3 majority vote. So it's very similar, I guess, amongst both houses of parliament. Followed by a popular referendum. Shinzo Abe's legacy may very well be paving the way for Japan to hold their own standing army and defend themselves without being wholly reliant on the United States. So
I'm not surprised they would want that.
Now you know more. Those of you that hung out and watched and went along with us tonight, now you know more than most people do about Shinzo Abe, which is kind of cool. I haven't really, I've seen a lot of people covering this, like, oh yeah, Shinzo Abe got shot. He was a conservative fucking fascist war crime denier. Anyway, on the next topic.
Yeah, not much nuance there, really.
So now you know what he was about, where he came from, what his legacy was. Pretty interesting life.
Really, yeah. I mean, groomed for power from a young age, ascendant, and most of all, successful at holding it. I mean, and even at the very end, I mean, you saw like they made a massive effort to save his life, not successfully, but just interesting that he was able to hold on to power, to be so influential for so many years, especially learning from the failures of his grandfather and father.
Sure.
People in his family. Now for some lighter issues, because I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks to end a segment with someone being assassinated, but I mean, hey, he was assassinated, so
he was, and that's very recently.
That was the way. That's the way it went down. Let me pull up my research here real quick. Okay, dokie. So some of the worst tourist traps in America. I've actually been to this one, which is why I pulled it. This is the birthplace of the king, baby.
Oh shit.
So this is the birthplace of. I'll read you the sign here if you're just listening. Birthplace of Elvis Presley. Elvis Aaron Presley was born on January 8, 1935, in this house built by his father. Presley's career as a singer and entertainer redefined American popular music. Definitely true. He died August 16, 1977 at Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. Out of the Graceland part, but it's in Memphis, Tennessee. So why is this a terrible tourist trap or one of the worst tourist traps? It's a shack.
Yeah.
It's a shack.
Woohoo. Wow, man, I'm glad we seen that.
Yeah, it's actually in Tupelo, Mississippi, I believe. Where Elvis was born. And I remember my mom as a kid like took me and TJ here. And I was like, Mom's like, you want to see the place where Elvis was born? And as a kid, I'd heard of Elvis, but I didn't really know shit about Elvis. So it's like, oh yeah. I'm like,
he looked like a dude that was probably born in like a crystal castle or some shit. Of course you're gonna go see her.
Yeah, so you're thinking all this shit like, oh my God, where was Elvis born? Like, and of course, Graceland is so famous. It's another tourist trap in itself, but like it's a mansion and it's a big ass estate. So it's like, you know, if you're a big Elvis fan, there might be something worth seeing there just to see like the weird rooms and shit Elvis had. This place, on the other hand, I mean, we got a video of it all. You'll see. There's not much to it. Not something you're gonna go out of your way of, unless you just love Elvis and you have to see where Elvis was from.
It's a tour of Elvis Presley's birthplace, the birthplace of the king. Scotty, you show respect.
I know. I'm showing respect.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
A shack on cinder blocks.
That's what it is. By the way, Elvis, of course, was born during the Great Depression, and he only lived here for 2 years before the family was forced to move after this home was foreclosed upon.
Wow. Oh, they interviewing somebody about it here.
Regional, except wallpaper.
Is that him in the picture?
Huh?
Is that him in the picture?
It is.
That is Elvis there in the picture. Oh man, this old lady's fucking cleaning up on this shit, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, like you see, it's your little standard house. I mean, it wasn't huge. Elvis's family was not well off. His father actually went to jail for passing off bad checks.
Yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, this is about it. This is like, it's a 2-room, you know, basically a shack.
Man, if you're fucking like a diehard ass fucking Elvis fanatic, maybe this would be kind of cool to go see. But if you're just kind of like a passing
You've listened to Elvis. It's like,
Yeah, you like Elvis or whatever. I probably wouldn't go very far to see this.
I mean, if it was, you know, I believe at the time we were going along the way kind of thing. So I wasn't too far the way. Probably going to see my uncle or something because he lives in St. Louis.
Yeah,
or
that
near it.
makes sense.
So this is probably just like a short stop off, not along the way. Or my mom took a slight detour to go see this. But I don't think many people are going to travel to Tupelo, Mississippi to see a place that Elvis lived for a couple of years, and not even really during the influential years, just where basically Elvis was born.
I saw the old weathered potbelly stove what Elvis ate off of when he was a kid.
This church is also part of it that people go to.
Hey, you didn't see this sweetens the pot here. You get to see a church.
I've heard it's pretty lame, and you just watch an overly long video. So not really recommended. I think if you happen to go through Tupelo, Mississippi, and you just have to know where Elvis was born, why not? And of course, Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas, the man that sung that song, and did a residency in Vegas for many years.
Hey,
4 years.
Nice connective tissue there. I didn't even notice that, Scotty.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, hey, it's like how do we segue to Las Vegas? I mean,
start with Elvis,
the king, baby.
Oh, still the king of Las Vegas, man.
I mean, yeah. I mean, come on, he's Elvis. So we talked about Las Vegas last time. We kind of did an episode similar to this before, but that was fucking years ago. But I feel like we only scratched the surface. There's a lot of there's always going to be a new scam in Vegas. It's Las Vegas. When you bring it, I mean, when you have a city like this, you just bring in the suckers. You bring in the saps. You have people pay a lot of money to fly in to gamble all their money away. It's just a place that attracts that sort of person.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's say if you're not driving in, I mean, Paul, you're someone that actually probably if you went to Vegas, you'd probably drive in. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm within striking distance of Vegas. A pretty easy drive from where I'm at. So.
But if you're not like that, if you live overseas, you live far away, you're gonna fly into Vegas.
Of course.
So you touch down, you deboard the plane, so you're in Vegas, you get off the plane, and what's one of the first things you see, Paul? What do you think one of the first things you're gonna see? It's Vegas, baby.
Well, I can see your document, so it wouldn't really be a guess.
I know.
So I'll guess something wrong.
Strippers. Strippers, yes, that's what you see. There's naked women everywhere in Las Vegas now. You see slot machines.
Oh, of course.
And some people, hey, you come in, you can't wait, you put a few dollars in, maybe that, or it's also they get you going out. Oh, you had a bad run in Vegas.
Yeah.
Maybe you can make that one, you can take that one hit where it all makes sense. The whole trip was paid for. You're going to come out on top.
This is the most degenerate gambler shit that exists, man. You're landing in Vegas. And you can't even wait to get out of the airport before you sit down and plunk away a lot of your money. That's got to be bad.
Yeah. Or you're trying to make, like I said, you're trying to make the trip all make sense. You're down 10 grand, but you know what? If you hit the jackpot here, you walk away a winner. And of course, look, people do. You can look up. There's news stories. People win big bucks in the airport. It is possible. It does happen. Yeah. Is it likely? Of course not. It's even less likely than on the strip. But we'll talk about that.
Sure.
So let's see. Where do you find airport slot machines? There are only 2 American airports that feature slot machines: are McCarran International, Las Vegas, and Reno Tahoe International. Of course, they're both in Nevada.
Yeah.
I guess Pennsylvania is strongly considering slots at their airport. Better have sluts than slots, though, in my opinion. But hey, they can do what they want.
Yep.
But for the time being, Nevada is the only place in the U.S. that has airport games. Which, I guess that's nice. That is a nice little attraction. I mean, it does get you.
So.
I mean, if you're a degenerate gambler, I mean, hey, you're gonna do it anyways. Let's be honest.
Gamble is, man. They need to put some slot machines on the plane, so as soon as they cross into like Nevada airspace, you can start pulling the fucking slots.
Wow, this is something I did not know. In Norway, slots are banned. We don't have them. Sorry.
Oh, geez.
Vegas sucks. You walk around, but every building is just the biggest. All the drinks overpriced. Everything is the same.
I tend to agree with that sentiment, but I've known people that look at it complete. Like TJ's one of them.
Oh, TJ loves.
It's a paradise. Like to TJ, Las Vegas is a paradise. To me, it's an interesting diversion at best, and you know what I mean. Like a place that I really try not to spend a lot of money in because you kind of have to spend money to just stay there.
I'll tell you what. The exception to that is like, if there's a convention, like we went to the Star Trek convention, that's probably the most fun I ever personally had in Las Vegas because TJ could gamble if he wanted to go do that shit. I could go to the convention, do all that stuff. Like if there's a panel or something he didn't have any interest in, I could go see that. So there's kind of a purpose to be there, and you still got to do this stuff at night if you really want to do that.
Right.
You know, so there's times that Las Vegas does have appeal to people who are not gamblers, but those are very specific events usually. Or there's some shows. I mean, occasionally there's bands or there's residencies that you want to see and stuff like that. So
Right.
there can be some appeal, but yeah, for the most part, it's about taking your money. So let's see. This makes sense when you're considering Vegas and Reno are the two of America's biggest gambling destinations, right? You get off a plane and start the spinning reels right away in either of these locations. And of course, they get massive traffic too. McCarran International offers much larger selection of slot machines because it's more heavily traveled. 48.5 million passengers fly in and out of McCarran every year, so it's a lot of suckers.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, man.
And even Reno's got 4 million going through.
That's like the population of some states coming through the airport every year, you know?
I mean, it's crazy. Well, 48.5 million, it's bigger than any state, but 4 million, that's like Louisiana. That's like the population of Louisiana going in and out of one airport every year. So why do airport slots have such a bad reputation? Slot machines and airports are notorious for offering the lowest payback of any land-based establishments. Many gamblers will do everything they can to avoid playing slots at airport because they don't want to waste their money. Of course, the problem with land-based slot machines is they don't display percentages. This means we have little idea on how airport games compare to slots found in other locations. So very little. And if you look at it, if you go down a little bit, we'll get into that in a second. Trying to find the exact number. Okay, so here. Obviously, 2001 is a long time ago. We're talking about this survey by Michael Shackford. I guess he's dubbed the Wizard of Odds. I don't know if that's true or not, but hey, he says he is. But Shackford did manage to prove that McCarran International has lighter slots than any Vegas casino. His survey shows, so this is from 2018, obviously, so this might even be a little bit older, maybe even worse. Who knows? His survey shows that Las Vegas airport slots only offer an 85.02 RTP on average. Compare this to the Palms Casino, which topped the list at 93.42. This is an over 8% difference, which is massive as far as slots RTP goes. You would have lost an extra $8 on average if you played the McCarran's airport versus Palms Casino at the time. And I think we actually break down the numbers a little bit more. So why do airports offer lower slots playback? Slot machine developers offer different RTP schedules that casinos can choose from. Most gambling establishments like playback that's competitive with other casinos in the area. So on the Vegas Strip, you have more of a reason to keep it higher because you want people to keep winning.
Right. You want to mix in some winners so people get excited when they come in. They hear somebody winning every once in a while. But in the airport, like, the fuck do you care?
Yeah, they don't give a shit. It's like, what's the lowest fucking limit we can basically give?
So they're basically the worst slots in Vegas, as I would imagine they would be.
Like, yeah.
The most exploitative spot that a slot machine is put, like as you're filing into the fucking baggage claim, there's a bunch of slot machines.
Yeah, you're heading out like, oh god.
Yeah, those are not going to be hot slots. You just got here. They want you to spread that money around and shit. So
yeah, it's like, come on, dude. At least get in the casino where we can start taking your money from you. So how airport slots compare to regular casino machines? So this one I think is pretty interesting. If you scroll down to the next part. So look, so Nevada statewide slots RTP. So your penny slots, the house has a 9.83% house edge, which of course, they're gonna have edge. Nickel slots, it's 0.46.
sure.
Quarter, it's 6.94. Dollar, 6.06, and multi-denominational 5.23. You get to the
I didn't
strip.
even know that you could find out this type of information. This is kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, you can. There's a lot of shit you can find out.
Like you know, like kind of like a baseline for how hot a certain type of slot machine is and what you can expect.
The hottest slots.
Yeah.
And it's true though. But I mean, obviously I'm making a bit of a joke there, but knowing a lot of people that gamble, like there's definitely machines that get hot. You know, obviously you don't want to fall into the gambling fallacy or the gambler's fallacy. You know, the probability is the same each time. Obviously, it's still the house always wins because what they're saying here is if you look statistically, this is their edge. But I've definitely seen people go on certain machines and win over and over again, and people go on other machines and lose.
Oh,
sure. I don't know what you attribute that to. I mean, probably just random chance, more than likely, if we're being honest. But
the luck of the Irish, Scotty. That's what I put it to.
But perception makes reality. So gamblers tend to put that in their head, like, okay, these airport ones not as good, but overall statewide, it's about 9%. The Vegas Strip, the penny slots, of course, because you're gonna stay there longer, so they have a bigger edge.
And it's a bigger draw too, so of course they're gonna take a little harder dip above the average on a
Plus, old
strip.
people love penny slots, dude. They'll
Right.
put $100 in there and be there
Oh
all
my
night.
God, you ain't kidding, dude. That's
dude.
and they're getting ripped off worse than any other slot player.
Dude, as a story, my stepdad Steve tells me, my great grandma was still alive. We all went to Las Vegas, and he gave her $100, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go play the penny slots." Now, most people when they play penny slots, if you never played a slot machine, you can bet 1 credit up to like whatever the limit is on the machine, per spin of the wheel. My great grandma played the penny slots and bet the minimum, which is 1 cent.
penny.
1 fucking cent. All
so if you win
night.
the jackpot, you get like $3 or something.
Yeah, you get some, and she played it for hours on end because he's like, because my great grandma did not like my stepdad, so he's like, how can I distract her and take my Uncle Parker out to drink and have fun? And it's like, here, that's the way. And she said he had to give her $200 the night. We said it was worth it because she was distracted the whole night playing. Well, she grew up in the Great Depression.
That's cheap to get rid of a mother-in-law.
Yeah, my great grandma also grew up in the, like I said, and she would eat the marrow out of the chicken bone. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. I wish I was. But when you get to downtown Vegas, house edge goes down a little bit. It's like, okay, 11%, but you see overall, I mean, depending on where you're at, it can go anywhere from 6% for the penny slots to 11%.
Yeah.
So is that big of a deal? One thing I've noticed about slots playback, this isn't me, this is the person writing this. It's gotten gradually better. It's down.
Oh, sorry.
Since the UN LV Center for Gambling Research began releasing these reports, I estimate that payback in prison proved an average of 2% over the last 15 years or so. Well, because of course, if people can look it up and say, "Well, you're fucking me this much," like they of course want to say, "No, we're the best on the strip, or we're the best in this area."
Right.
If we apply this improvement to Shackelford's report, then it's reasonable to assume McCarran and Reno airports offer an average of 87% RTP. This payback is far from outstanding, but you can at least see that it's at least competitive with the Las Vegas, slot machines on the strip. On the other hand, Cincinnati offers a much better payback than airport slot machines in non-strip locations. So, of course, I mean, you can go off the strip and still get decent ones.
If you're serious about it, if you're like a serious slot hound, you're probably not going to find many of them in the main casinos, right? Like, if there's somebody that really is playing the slots to try and win big, they're probably going to go to one of these like off-strip downtown kind of places or whatever the fuck, or just like Reno, which looks like here, Washoe County, Reno, and Tahoe.
Yeah,
pretty competitive, especially when it comes to the penny slots. Although the nickel slots, see, they got their own little fucking work going on down there.
But they have to be competitive.
They're trying to pull in a lot of the like old retirees with this shit. Because if you can look it up and see that you've got somewhere between a 12% and 11 or a 9% house edge everywhere else in Vegas, but in Washoe County,
yeah, you got 3%?
6.94 house edge. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go play the pennies over there.
Well, I mean anything, because I mean the amount of play you do, I mean like that translates to a lot more money in your pocket, especially if you take an hour of play. So this kind of breaks it down for you. So should you still play at airport slot machines? I'm not trying to dissuade any degenerate gamblers, right? Of course, I mean you're saying, hey, if you want to play, I get it.
Yeah, go play.
Here's an example based on theoretical losses with an airport slot machine based on what I've discussed. You're playing a slot with 87% payback. You're betting $1 per spin. You perform 600 spins per hour. So 600 times 1 times 0.13 equals 78 in theoretical losses per hour, assuming you don't hit a jackpot or something. We'll just say you lost. Yeah. Now assume that you're in an actual Vegas or Reno casino. You're playing a slot with 94% RTP. You're betting $1 per spin. Same number of spins. 600 times 1 times 0.06. You lost 36. It's a lot. It's
way better.
Yeah, you have way better odds. I mean, you're basically cutting that in half, essentially, is what you're doing.
Yeah. So there's literally no reason to sit down at an airport slot.
Yeah, don't do it. You might be the lucky person that wins. It is possible. Slot machines, of course, are a bad idea to begin with.
They're called one-armed bandits for a reason.
Yeah. This guy recommends doing a stop-loss method, only gamble so much and stuff. But really, let's be honest, just if you're going to gamble, just don't gamble at a fucking airport. Go to the you went to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Flew into Las Vegas. Go to Las Vegas if you really want to gamble that badly. If you really want to throw your money away, go to the actual casino. You at least have better odds, or go off the strip even. But don't do it at the fucking airport. Total tourist trap. They're just trying to get the quick buck from the sucker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never a person because, dude, I hate that. There are few places on the planet that I hate worse than airports. So whenever I'm in one, I want to be out of it as soon as fucking possible.
Oh, I know.
So I cannot even imagine sitting down in one and pulling fucking slot machines.
I feel exactly the same way.
They wouldn't put they wouldn't put them there if people didn't fucking do it.
It's another thing in
God.
Vegas and in Las Vegas. Have you ever heard of this one, Paul? It's called Dig This.
I had not, but when I was pulling it, this is one of the ones that blew me away that it exists.
Dude, when I saw this shit, I couldn't believe it. I could not fucking believe. And look, obviously some people love heavy equipment. Maybe it's been a dream of somebody that just never got to do that. They work in an office all day. Their life didn't turn out that way where they're never going to work with this stuff. But to me, this isn't a vacation thing. This is like a go to work thing. This is like, okay, I'm going to, I mean, look, there's a certain appeal to it. I will say maybe a base level, like maybe like my id is telling me like big thing, take smash, do thing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I have very little interest in it.
Same here. It's like you got a video here.
We got a video. So this is a promotional video for Dig This in Las Vegas. So if you go to Vegas and you want to dig shit with some heavy equipment, you can.
Wow. Oh shit.
Hard rock soundtrack.
Yeah. It rocks hard over there.
They're trying to make it so hard to make it interesting. So you see the Vegas Strip there.
Yeah.
Or part of Las Vegas. Oh, Trump Tower. Look, a big, beautiful building.
Big, beautiful golden building there in Las Vegas. The tallest one in Vegas. Believe me, I know tall buildings.
Look, yeah.
Oh my God, bro. You too can swelter in the Vegas sun as you drive a big fucking...
Hey, they do say they're climate controlled.
Oh, they are? Oh, that's nice.
They've climate controlled them, so I'm sure not all of them are, but I think most people that operate these probably want climate controlled.
Yeah. They got the bougie ones. I mean,
But
I
when you
don't know,
step out of
dude.
that-
Like I drove forklift for a little while, and so I do like these types of things. And my mom actually drove one of these, a larger one of these. She drove a big cat front end loader.
Oh, okay.
For a long time when I was a kid. And so there is a part of me that would be like, it might be kind of cool to drive all these things. But I think I just looking at this, I think after getting there, I would be like, no, I don't want to leave about 15, 20 minutes into this bullshit. Cause it feels like somebody's just like using you to do some work. They're probably like piling these up to be loaded onto trucks later. So they just get, fucking tourists to come and pay for the privilege.
Oh my God. And I'll tell you what, dude, the thing that astonished me is we're about to go to their website. And when you see the prices of doing this shit, that's really what's going to get you. Because, look, I get it. Maybe there's someone that just really loves this kind of stuff.
Yeah, this better be cheap, man. This better be real cheap.
Oh, no. It is the opposite of fucking cheap.
Oh, God. All right. Well, here's their website here.
So let's go. Yeah, we can go like hey, let's book an experience, Paul, because that's the best way to show you how much it's going to cost.
Let's book it now.
Let's do it. And they have other ones too. You can crush a car and stuff. They have this stuff, but let's do individual digs.
All right, the individual digs.
Yeah, all right. So 90 minutes.
Damn.
Oh, only $299. Not that bad, right?
That's pretty fucking steep.
I looked into crushing the car. That's like $750, $800, somewhere around there.
Whoa.
I mean,
look at some of these fucking group deals too. Leave checkout. Oh my God.
Yeah,
they don't want you to
insane.
leave. Group sessions.
Well, that's really what they want to get. They want to get that group of people.
Well, and you can imagine they're probably like a lot of corporate fucking people that are like, we're gonna go do a team building exercise.
That's why this place exists 100%. I think most people see a price like that, like, oh, it's $400. Like, no.
Let's see.
I'm good.
Like if you wanted to do a group of 10 to 20 people. Whoa, $2,534. You get, I don't know what this is down. Oh, that's their little.
That's a little video. You get an excavator, a bulldozer, a 6-ton excavator, and a skid steer loader.
You're going to dig deep trenches together. You're going to build a tire pyramid together. You're going to backfill a slot trench, and you're going to teeter-totter over a huge mountain. This sounds like a fucking corporate weekend from hell, bro.
It does,
Everybody's
dude.
excited because they've got to go to Vegas, but it sucks because that one Saturday they've all got to go. You know what I mean? Do the
Look.
excavator shit that the boss thinks is going to make us a better team.
Everyone's gonna get together and it's gonna be freaking great.
Oh, there's some add-ons here too, Scotty.
Shuttle, merchandise, catering. There's the
What do you get
aggression
for
session.
$30 to $70 a person? We offer different package options to take home memories from Dig This. You got a photo plaque and a shirt for $50, a photo plaque and a hat for $50, and a Dig This photo plaque, shirt, and a hat. That's the deluxe package there. You get the shirt and the hat, Scotty. $70.
I'll tell you, the only thing that appealed to me was the aggression session. It was like destroying the car. I'm like, okay, if and I would never pay that amount. But if it was ever like someone's like, look, I will give you $750 to go destroy this car, I'd probably do that. I can't lie about that. All the other shit like catering, bar service, a fucking photo plaque, like I don't give a fuck about any of that shit.
Oh man, you can have it catered and get a fucking bar. Wait a minute, like, wait, you're driving heavy machinery. Isn't this something you'd think that they would have to keep liquor? I guess not in Vegas, huh? You'd think a company like this would have to have like a strict no booze policy or whatever the fuck. But
I'm assuming it's afterwards.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It's
afterwards
probably
you get to go chill and drink wine.
Yeah,
eat
all that bullshit.
Wow. Well, this is
we're not done yet with Vegas.
Dude, is this like one of those soaring over California things?
Yeah, this is a screen.
Have you ever been to that? And did you ever go to California Adventure in Disney?
You know, I did, but I just everyone that I talked to about that was like, it's not worth the time.
It wasn't. If you have kids, it would probably be worth it. I kind of expected the opposite. I thought like Disneyland's where you're going to take the kids, but dude, a lot of California Adventure is kid stuff. At least it was when I went. I don't know about now. But yeah, it's one of these VR rides where you're surrounded by like a 360 cinema and your seat moves and it makes you feel like you're flying.
You get misted too, Paul.
Yeah, they pump mist. Like there was one point in Soaring Over California where you zoom down over these orange groves and they pumped like orange smell chemicals into the air. It was very dystopian. Like why not go just walk in a fucking orange grove?
I know. That was the worst thing about it. To be honest with you, dude, was just that like I'm like, so we have like this at this point still an amazing world, and instead we're like gonna have you go and sit in front of a screen and go through a whole process to describe what's like, oh, you get to fly over it. It's like, what?
You get to virtually experience it rather than going and seeing it yourself.
So this one, honestly, not very cheap either. I guess you can save 15% when you book online,
Really?
but the ride is yeah.
Let's see. Tickets on sale now.
Yeah, so let's say if we want to go today, Paul, let's find our tickets.
we want to go today.
Perfect.
2 adults.
Let's go.
What's it going to cost us to get into this motherfucker today?
It ain't cheap. Yeah, one ride is $30. Double ride is 57.
Wow.
The ride, by the way, is about from what I've read. It's hard to actually get actual footage of the ride because they're very protective of it.
Well, let's see when they book it. Look at that. They book it in fucking so the ride can't be longer than fucking half an hour.
It's about 9 minutes.
Oh wow.
A lot of it's like walking through the location and stuff. It's really it's not what it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, this looks like a fucking rip. So
there's also a bar though, Paul. You can get a drink at their bar. That's what so double ride and drink, $65.
Flexible admission, so you can come in whenever.
Yeah, whenever you want. Yeah. It's just interesting that to go somewhere like Las Vegas, which is a place where it's like, yeah, you're supposed to experience all this stuff, and instead you're just riding a VR, basically a giant VR ride.
They have a trailer for it. You want to check out the trailer?
We can watch it, yeah.
I hate it already.
Yep, that gives you an idea of what you're doing. You're being moved around on hydraulics. I mean, now look, if you were actually on a plane doing this, it'd be amazing. Or a helicopter.
Yeah, if you were booking an actual like chopper flight over this type of scenery and you were staying in that area, that would be wonderful. But like, I don't know. It's just really like, look at this. Like people are lining up. They're looking at a fake aquarium.
Oh, look. Oh, there's a bar. Okay. You can get a drink, get drunk.
Yeah. It's like a $12 drink to tack it on to your experience.
Yeah, and then you're gonna put you like, yeah, and the people going, ah, it's like it's not
The
like
seat
that.
moves around and shit. I will admit the one in Disney California Adventure that I rode, it was kind of cool, but it was included in my fucking entry fee or whatever. I didn't like specifically travel to go do it, make a big deal of it. Yeah,
Also,
this
I mean,
is
just the price you're gonna pay. I mean, yeah, if it was like it'd be one thing if like you went to if it was like $5 to do this, I could see like okay, $5. I mean, like maybe if I'm like it's really hot outside or some shit, but $30, and if you want to see both, you're looking at almost $60. Fuck no, man.
yeah,
Fuck
no,
no.
thank you.
Uh, just another fucking tourist trap in Vegas. But hey, a fool and their money are soon parted. I also pulled some 1-star reviews from people.
Oh boy, let's see here.
And of course, I'm biased because I thought it looked pretty terrible. Well, here's if you look at this here, you're like, okay, well, this is a pretty positive attraction. But go to lowest.
Yeah,
I tried to look on
lowest.
TripAdvisor and other places, but those places really don't show you the full picture. It's pretty small for me, Paul. So if you want to read it, that would actually be pretty helpful here.
Yeah. So the first one is from Taishika Shaw, and she says overrated. This place is overpriced for the shortest virtual ride ever. The explanation of what you are seeing is minimum. There's no real guidance. They sprinkle a lot of chilled mist on you for an effect. There are no real plunging feelings on the ride when you go down a mountain. This is a lack of effort on the part of creators. And then they respond to this. They say, hey, thanks for coming.
Like, thanks for trashing us.
Terrible and utter waste of money. The screen resolution is horrible and it feels super old. It costs $200 for a family of 4 to do a double ride. That's crazy. Not worth it. They play a 5 to 10 minute dumb video before each ride. And then they tell you that the ride lasts for 25 minutes, but the ride is only about 10 minutes. The website falsely advertises. Don't fall for it. This does not even come close to Disney Soarin'. Okay, so that answers my question then.
Yeah. So someone's even telling you it's like, and Paul, you actually have experienced Disney Soarin', so you're like, this is not worth it.
One of the things about that was it did feel like you were you were strapped into the seat, so it wasn't like roller coaster scary. But when you went over the edge of a mountain, they made you that sinking feeling in your stomach when you go down real quick. Oh, so they were good at that. So apparently this one doesn't even. It just like rumbles around.
Hey, you spent $200. Take your kids on this. Oh, some chilled mist.
Rosa Garcia felt sour after she went through. I'm extremely disappointed with 3 exclamation points. Based on what the website it states, you will be up in the air enjoying the scenery. As I arrived, they mentioned it would be in a theater. Everything. It's a false advertisement.
I think this person
with 3 more exclamation points.
Oh, this person actually took flyover as a serious thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Even I didn't interpret it that way. I mean, I get how that could be misinterpreted, but yeah, I think that's actually even a bit uncharitable for a scam like this.
Damn, Austin Beveridge didn't get inside. He said he went to go on this ride, and the lady at the counter was so rude that he just turned around and walked out. Damn.
Dude, he made a fucking good decision.
Yeah, he saved some
Austin
money.
Beveridge over that. Yeah, it's me, Austin Beveridge. Don't you know me?
Yeah. Wow, what a mess. Huge delay, waited in the dark, standing in the in line 45 minutes late. We are locals, never come back.
Oh man. How about some corporate propaganda? You want to go some corporate propaganda, Paul?
Oh man, yeah, dude. You know what I want to do when I'm traveling? I want to go see some corporate propaganda.
The
Scotty.
world of Coca-Cola in Atlanta,
Give
Georgia.
me a break. This thing exists. Oh God.
So yeah, Coca-Cola's recipe might be, secretive. No one really knows it, right? Do you think they're going to give away the details on a tour?
Probably not.
I don't think so. While you will actually approach the vault that allegedly holds the recipe, general admission for an adult runs mere $19.
Oh my God.
Making this a pricey family stop for someone to take in some Coke propaganda, watching a replica bottle lining, and you can taste a lot of sugary drinks. That's about it.
Oh my God.
So yeah, these are the exhibits they have. You can taste it, which is like it's the around the world thing, which they do at they just do at Epcot. in Disney
Right.
World, another tourist trap for sure. So this is like
Oh
you can
yeah,
taste
yeah,
different
yeah.
sodas.
I remember this place where they had all the sodas in Epcot, and you could just like grab little sample dishes and go taste all the different permutations of soda that they had. It's just a Coke based one.
Yep, that's basically what it is.
Oh, oh God.
And now we have
Hold on. Sorry,
yeah.
I wanted to give you the opportunity to go back through some more of this.
Yeah, a few more of these things.
There we go.
It's all good. Dude,
Sniff it.
I'll tell you what the one that jumped out to me the most, dude. Because I actually want to show you guys the Volt in the videos. The polar bear. The polar bear is fucking weird looking.
What the fuck?
No, dude.
What kind of low rent ass furry polar bear costume is this, man? This
It's
is
a $1 billion company, man. It's got some awkward, like, retarded polar bear.
There are furries that have way better fucking fursuits than this, man. That is so lame. So you get to meet and have your photo taken with our beloved Coca-Cola polar bear. Use your own camera. Oh wow, real low rent. You BYOC.
Or you
bring
can pay
your
them.
own fucking camera, man.
Or you can pay them.
Yeah.
Since we get, I know we got a grease trap, so let's actually move along to the video portion of this.
Sure.
I want to get through all our stuff, and the end of this is what I'm looking forward to the most. So if you can find the Volt, it's actually this person does have the chapter markers. If you can get to the Volt, I think that'd be cool.
The Vault, yeah, there it is.
I feel really bad for the people that work at this museum too. When you see the outfits, when you see the outfits they make them wear, it's like, oh no,
that made me sad. All right, let's take a look.
The Vault.
Whoa.
The secret is here.
The secret.
What could it be? Let's go in.
Oh, money heist. Yeah, we're in a bank vault.
Somewhere in here, the secret of Coke lies.
Somewhere down there.
I mean, it's a carbonated beverage.
This looks like a line, like a Disneyland line or something.
I know.
They just look at them just funneling the herd.
You're right.
Kind of passively going like, oh, look, some bottles.
And just keep in mind, every adult here paid nearly $20 to do this.
Man. Man.
Like, that's the thing that blows my mind. Like, see, if shit like this, like, if Coke just had this as like, look, this is free. You make you schedule a thing, you come in, you get to look around. It's like this Coke museum. All right.
Yeah.
You know, I could see maybe doing that if I was in Atlanta. Shelling out for a couple, almost $50 to go be propagandized to by Coke. Like, we did it all.
It looks like a lamer, like if you like, because I actually like doing some of these dumbass rip-off museums. Like I like Ripley's Believe It or Not and shit. Go do that. You're better off getting parted for fucking $50 going to see a Ripley's Believe It or Not, because this is boring as fuck, man.
I know, this is someone that's like literally showing it off too, is like, hey, we went here, and like, this is putting me to sleep. If I was walking around this place, I'd probably fall asleep, dude. They had to fucking pick me up in a wheelbarrow and fucking dump me outside of Coke property or something.
The finest example of humanity's, you know, everybody is just tip-top shape waddling through this.
If you can
thing.
find or the presentation points, because I want to see if we can show how the people they force the employees here to dress.
Yeah, let's see.
I think if we go to the beginning, we might just look for someone in red. Yeah, there they are.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yes.
They all dress like this?
Yes.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, dude, the corporate dystopia. You know, look, you have to dress like you're a Coke bottle.
Oh, fuck me, man.
I know.
Oh.
$20. Come on, people. You got a hole in your pocket. You live near Atlanta. You could go here too.
Diane, your sequins are sparkling, but you're not. Why? Get a smile on your face. It's a good day.
You don't have enough flair. How about we move on to our next tourist trap? Because we got quite a few left to go through.
Sure, let's do. Okay. It's going to go ahead
this
and
video
keep playing.
just insists on playing.
Hush. Okay, there we
Shut
go.
up, video. How about the Buffalo Bill Museum and Grave?
Oh, boy. Oh boy,
Got a
good
little history
old
for you here.
Buffalo Bill.
Born in 1846, William F. Cody experienced the Old West to its fullest. He's skilled as a buffalo hunter, gained him the nickname Buffalo Bill. And Buffalo Bill's Wild West shows traveled the world, leaving a lasting vision of the American West. Now, that's true, folks. That's very true.
That's true. Look at that mustache too, man.
That's a resplendent mustache, ever said so. So his grave has somehow been around since 1927, even though he died in 1917. Whatever. I mean, hey, maybe it took a while to build the grave.
Bury him right away.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. So how much you think, Paul, if we can go show the grave, how much would you
Sure.
pay to see this? I mean, you already know.
How much would I pay to see
How
it?
much would you pay to see this? Anything?
I might, like, if I was staying over in a town on my way somewhere else and I heard that his grave was nearby, I might go see it. But if they were charging at the door, I'd turn around.
So I'll ask you guys in the chat, how much do you think this costs to go to? Don't cheat. We know you can use the internet and cheat. We're aware of that, but I want you to guess.
Yeah, how much do you think?
How much would you cough up to see this, the site where old Buffalo Bill is buried in Golden, Colorado?
And look, they pay to get in and they throw change on it.
God almighty, you fucking troll, dude.
You'd pay $40.
$40. All right. Pay me $40 a month then for our Patreon. Go, if you're a patron, go and edit it. Go ahead and edit and give me $40 a
Damn,
month.
some people would pay highly to get in this motherfucker.
Damn, dude. I'm saying $100. Fuck.
Get out of here.
$10. 5 at most. There you go.
Hey,
$5.
somebody got it.
That is the price you pay.
Cost you a 5 note to go and like stand a distance and look through the iron bars at his fucking grave.
Yeah. So if you and Amelia or me and Taylor or TJ and Chelsea wanted to go see this, let's say we all went. Okay, you know, we're in Colorado, we're in the Mile High State. Let's go see Buffalo Bill Cody's grave.
$30 for all of us. Yeah.
$30.
God damn.
I guess there's a controversy about this grave too, which is, was he really buried here? But to save time, because like I said, I have something really funny to show you guys at the end. The short answer is the controversy is bullshit. Here's why. He had a massive public funeral and his family was present there. He died at his sister's house in 1917. So it's pretty unlikely that he was not buried there because like there was an open casket. So if his own sister and family didn't know what Buffalo Bill looked like at the end of his life and they replaced him, let's see, and I'll tell you the controversy because he founded a town called Cody, Wyoming.
Right.
So people speculate that he died in Denver. His corpse was taken, replaced with a vagrant or someone that happened to look like Buffalo Bill, and then buried in Cody, Wyoming. It seems pretty far-fetched to me. I think his family would know it was a difference between a fucking vagabond they made look like Buffalo Bill versus actual Buffalo Bill. So it's bullshit, but there's a little controversy they can kind of add to it.
I mean, they probably feed it to drive up people coming in to get scammed out of $5 to see his grave.
You know what this is, Paul? You ever heard of it? Because you actually were looking into Maine as a place.
Yeah. I looked at the possibility of moving to Maine at one point. No, I would not tell you that this is in Maine.
This is the desert, in quotations, of Maine. It's not true desert because, of course, to be technically a desert, it would have to have other criteria. So it's not even technically a real desert. This ground-sounding spot is actually a patch of sand in an otherwise foresty state. And the desert of Maine is a tourist attraction whose main feature is a 40-acre, 160,000 meters expanse of glacial sand dunes surrounded by a coastal forest in the town of Freeport, Maine. And, of course, the United States of America.
Of course. Yeah, dude. Somebody owns this big old lot or whatever, and they've created like a little tourist town in there.
There's a whole history about it, too. But obviously, like I said, I want to get to the piece de resistance at the end of here, our magnum opus of this episode, besides of my part of it at least. The desert of Maine is not a true desert, as it receives abundant precipitation, so not really a desert. The surrounding vegetation is being allowed to encroach on these barren dunes. The land that encompasses the desert of Maine was purchased by the Tuttle family in 1821. Like other Maine farmers of the era who were struggling to compete with the expanding agricultural market, the Tuttle methods of farming gradually depleted the soil of essential nutrients, so not good farming practices, combined with overgrazing by large numbers of sheep, who sheep eat all the way down to the seed, so also
Makes
not
sense.
good. The widespread erosion of the tunnel's topsoil exposed a deposit of glacial sand that was lying underneath. So here it is. And by the way, you actually the guy that bought this after the Tuttle family actually had live camels there.
Oh, really? Now there's not any.
No, to my knowledge, there's not any. But yeah, here it is.
So this is it.
This is it.
You pay him to drive you around the desert of Maine, and this is it.
That's what you pay for. You get,
Oh my God!
You get paid to see a glacial deposit.
No.
Because basically the glaciers compound all the rock into a very fine sand.
So it's a sandy area of the forest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You get to drive around it.
The Barron Spring House.
Oh boy. Let's skip around here. Let's skip ahead and see if there's anything else going on. Still more desert.
It's a big piece of property with a bunch of sand on it in a forest.
Is there some dork like here? Let me turn on the.
There is.
This was a little clay deposit in the middle of that as well. When we go around through these trees, you'll see on the.
I would give that woman $20 to just shut up for the rest of the.
Yeah, look, ma'am, I know I already paid to go on tour. Can I pay to end the tour, please?
Can you shut the fuck up for the rest of the ride, please? Oh no.
So the trees.
There's not much else to say. But the people who've bought it though are really trying to transform into something. I will give them credit because these are the previous owners. If we go to the next one, because I mean, like, we're not going to see anything different. We're going to see some trees.
Sure.
They are actually trying to turn it into something. They built a mini golf here. They're turning it into like a venue,
So they're actually putting some stuff for people to do here, other than ride around and listen to that woman.
Yeah, they're trying to expand it. So I commend them. I mean, it is a tourist trap, but maybe potentially less of a tourist trap when they build maybe a concert venue. They're trying to feature local artists and stuff in Maine. They built a little mini golf thing. So trying to make it more an actual family attraction because let's be fair, there's not a lot of shit in Maine. I mean, there isn't. It's a small state.
It's a small state and sparsely populated at that.
So this might be a cool little thing if you live in the area to come check out, especially with these people. They're trying to get they're hoping to build a concert venue and restore a farmhouse and restore the barn and have nature trails and stuff. So maybe eventually less of a tourist trap, more of something that whole family can go visit, have a good little time, especially if you're nearby. Yeah, definitely not something maybe you travel across the country to go see, but
maybe not.
If you live local.
Does this mean that they're going to have camels back again? I see a little camel symbol on the map.
That would be cool if they did, honestly. But I don't know. These people that have bought it, they bought it in 2020. They're really trying to transform it, as you can see, and hopefully they're successful. I mean, it's a nice little thing. I mean, look, I'll tell you what. I don't like that tour video, but if they made it into something different, and I happened to be in Maine, maybe I'd go check it out.
Yeah, you got some stuff to do as you walk around, some different things going on. It might be cool to waste an afternoon at it or some shit. But
it's a sand trap, and weed is legal in Maine, I believe. So maybe I'll go for a nice long walk.
Yeah, there you go. So I'll do a self-guided tour if you don't mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Come here, Jesus.
Oh my God! Is this? He looks like a bar of soap.
I know. Dude.
He looks like something that like a gag bar of soap that you would wash yourself with. Oh,
this is Christ of the Ozarks and Holy Land. Yep. Now you see why I rushed through the other ones. Now you see why.
He looks like an Ozark fucking OxyContin addict. So it fucking works out, man. He's got the square head. Oh man!
So Christ of the Ozarks statue is a monumental scripture of Jesus. I don't know why I said scripture. Sculpture of Jesus, located in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, atop Magnetic Mountain. So it was erected in 1966 as a sacred project by Gerald L.K. Smith. The statue, and it featured here, stands 65.5 feet tall. Now, I actually learned some interesting thing about Gerald L.K. Smith here.
Yeah.
He served as an organizer for Huey P. Long's Share Our Wealth movement.
Oh, really?
And led it briefly following the Long's assassination in 1935. After years of highly controversial and religiously charged activism that included Holocaust denial and pro-Nazi sympathies.
Oh, he was a Shinzo Abe.
Yeah, this is a guy that actually had sympathies with Nazis and very anti-Semitic. He actually retired to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, where he bought and renovated an old mansion. On other parts of the estate property, he planned a religious theme park, which he called Sacred Projects. He commissioned a centerpiece, which is this, as we saw before, a gigantic statue of Jesus completed in 1966. And it is called Crest of the Ozarks. He also completed a 4,100 seat amphitheater. And there's a seasonal annual outdoor performance of the Great Passion Play.
Man.
So a statue of Jesus built by a Nazi and anti-Semite sympathizer in the middle of
It looks
Arkansas.
like a bar of soap standing in the middle of nowhere. Oh man, the ultimate fucking tourist trap.
Oh, what's great is that at this time, so this is really interesting too. At the time, this guy only had, when he retired here, he only had $5,000 to his name, according to people that knew him, and he raised $1 million to build this
Soap
statue,
Jesus.
yeah, and the park.
Wow.
How he did it, I don't know. Probably a bunch of other racists getting scammed, but hey, he did it. So we have the website, which we're going to end on, which is the Great Passion Play. We're not going to get too much into the play because I kind of want to show you guys the my favorite part of this. I think we'll just look at two parts: is the Holy Land tour and the dinner buffet. I
Oh
think you'll
boy.
see why. So here's some photos we'll look at. So this is in the Ozarks. You can see like this is supposed to be kind of a living recreation to experience the Bible in
Yeah.
real life. And there's some videos at the bottom here, but we'll take a look through some of the images first. This is where Jesus walked on water.
Get Jesus away from me.
No, dude, Jesus looks like a horror movie. Jesus,
He does, man.
Jesus, please spare me. I am the Lamb, my child. Only through me shall you have eternal life. Really? No.
Why is that man walking on water, mommy? He's just a zombie. Don't pay any attention to him.
Zombies to me.
He's an intergalactic celestial zombie. He wants to come give you a hug.
He just loves you.
Oh boy. What
Yeah,
a
so
nightmare. Let's see
if we
what
go
else
down,
got.
we can take a look. Yeah, it's like it's supposed to recreate. Like that's like supposed to be the Last Supper shit or whatever.
Oh god, only Christians would pay for something this fucking stupid and oh geez. This is a really low resolution picture that they're using on the website here, but it's like an
And
old
you think
woman.
this is bad? You think this is bad? Let's get into the video. It's if we scroll down.
Oh no, man.
The buffet is my favorite part, though. I can't lie.
Welcome again to Business Showcase. I'm Shelby Bates, and I'm back in Eureka Springs at the Great Passion Play. I'm joined once again by Kent, who portrays Jesus, and Dave,
Portrays Jesus.
other personalities from the Bible. Tell us where we are right now, Kent.
Right now, we're at our very own version of the Sea of Galilee here at the Great Passion Play on the Holy
Sea of Galilee. It's a pond.
Yeah, it's like a stagnant ass pond.
Much like Christianity, it's a stagnant pond.
But back in Bible days without the rides.
I love that description because
Without the rides.
It's a lot of fun. It's an interactive living history experience. You get to see what the Passover house would have looked like. You even get to visit with the woman at the well in a biblical reproduction of the well that you see in John 4.
Oh my
You get to see
God,
everything
bro.
from the Last
What a
Supper.
snooze fest,
You
dude.
get to walk on water, which is one of my favorite parts. You get to see the stone as it's set away in Jerusalem. Lots of other stuff to do and see.
This is amazing, and we know about the amazing Passion Play, but this is something to do during the day.
Well, I've got one more thing that I really want to show you as part
So
of the-
basically, they get
I
these
would love
saps in for the play.
So tell me what we're going
And they
into.
want them. They're like, oh shit, we gotta get money out of these people because they'll just come for the play. Then like we gotta get them all day. Oh, we'll build a biblical theme park without rides.
Yeah, dude,
It's
it's like a theme park, but without all the fun and nothing but a bunch of religious proselytization. You know what I mean? And a bunch of boring old white people pretending to be fucking
yeah,
ancient Jews.
basically.
To see now.
Well, we're about to see Moses' tabernacle in the wilderness. It's one of the most spectacular things that people see on
Oh,
the Holy
finally.
Land, because it's
I
one of the
can't wait to
only of
see
its kind in the
Moses'
entire
tabernacle.
world.
That's what I'm most
Moses'
excited to
tabernacle in the
see.
wilderness. This is built in full scale according to Jewish
Whoa,
custom
look
and
at
what they would have
Moses'
done.
tabernacle.
Everything from the altar that they would have sacrificed animals on to the
Cool.
tabernacle, the actually dwelling place, the holy place,
Well, to be historically accurate, shouldn't we have like some sacrifices?
incense. the
Dude, did they
ransom
really
offering.
like make the fucking Ark of the Covenant look like they're like ripping off the fucking Indiana Jones Ark of the Covenant again?
I know, dude. I don't. PS2 graphics, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
And this is still up on their website too. They haven't updated this. It looks like they filmed this in like 2008 or some shit.
The dwelling place, the holy of holies. There's the show.
Holiest of holies. Whoa.
Altar of incense.
Man, you get to see the holiest of holies.
That's amazing to be able to see.
right in this ridiculous, clownish looking building behind us. You can see all the recreations of all those fucking things.
You guess you can.
Oh,
Well, there's a will,
man.
there's a way.
Wow.
Built by some crazy racist dude in the 60s, but why not?
Why the heck not, man?
And my favorite part of this, the buffet.
Wait.
If you go back,
Yeah, the buffet. Let's see it.
Look, if you're hungry, you've experienced this interactive life, his historical attractions. You might get a little peckish. So if you go back to the website, go to attractions.
Yeah, hold on.
That is part of their attractions on their website.
So okay,
What about
attractions.
the buffet?
The buffet. Look
The
at this.
buffet.
Well, I'll be darned.
$17. And yeah, this guy's gonna pitch you on why you need to go to their buffet. $17.
Dude, if Jesus thinks it's a good buffet, then it must be a fucking good
I mean,
buffet,
dude, when you see
know?
the food, Paul, and the entertainment you're gonna get, I think you're gonna be sold immediately.
Wow.
I'm back at the Passion Play. Actually, another aspect of the Passion Play. I'm joined once again by Kent. We're at the buffet now. Who knew they even have that here?
Oh.
Tell us a little bit about it, Kent.
Well,
got a
everybody
buffet.
knows about our Bible Museum and Arts Museum. You can have a full day experience here at the Holy Land, as well as the backstage.
Chris looks like a guy that would like fucking be teaching surfing lessons and then try and finger your butt while you were out there with him.
No. Look, you gotta feel the wave. Feel it. Do you feel that?
Hold on, just tense up your glutes back here, man. Oh my god, bro. He looks like a failed pro wrestler or some shit. This is horrible.
Look at this good old food, though, Paul.
Do they have multiple Jesuses? They must, right? They can't have one dude
Nah,
like
I
7 days a week.
I think this is a passion project. Do the passion play, a passion project.
He looks like Paul Rudd, man. What a fucking
Paul Rudd, Jesus.
Yeah, Paul Rudd is Jesus.
Between having the full day experience and the play,
You gotta get your money somehow.
they call buffet. My wife and I we actually
Oh my
really
god. Hold up. I want to see who's fucking eating at the trop. Oh man, people in their twilight years, almost exclusively, and some poor little kids that got dragged along too. But
Grandma and Grandpa are taking you to a theme park. Wow!
oh man, Gammy and Gampy are gonna take you into this weird circus building to see the Ark of the Covenant, and then we're gonna have roast beef.
Well, they don't want you to leave. So I mean, of course, and then a buffet is the easiest, cheapest, shittiest food they can sell you.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure it's hog slop.
really
Oh no, we're gonna see.
Oh no,
It is, dude. Look at this.
No. They tried to blur it. Look, dude, this is intentional. This wavy shit. Oh no. They blurred it.
Looks delicious.
great food. It's really home style cooking. Our chef here was
what is that?
I don't know.
That's
Is
the
that some
vomit
greens?
of Job.
The vomit of Job.
When God removed his teeth and he couldn't eat anything but prickly pears. This is the vomit of Job.
trained in the culinary arts in a school in Louisiana, and he makes some great dishes, as well as we have a.
Oh my God! They hired a Louisiana scammer to come in.
Yeah, don't you dare disparage the state of Louisiana by saying we would cook this shit. He took you for a ride, boy. He took you for a ride.
A fabulous dessert bar, great home style cooking with macaroni and cheese. You have a lot of
with macaroni and cheese, and we have macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, we got mac and cheese. That's edible over there.
Yeah, you can gum your way through that.
different types of meats, and you have a vegetable bar,
yum.
dessert bar. But my favorite type of meat here at the play that we have is the ribs. I love the ribs.
Oh my God! Hold on. Look at that dry. This, and keep in mind, this is what they showed off on their video. Like they didn't get a fresh pan of it.
Chicken.
My wife does too.
Hold on.
Man, what a fucking shill.
There it is. No.
What? Oh man, it's all
Look how
curdled
dried
at the
and
side.
crusty it is, dude.
The mashed potatoes look spoiled. They're like, oh my brown,
fucking all dark,
dried out. The gravy is like curdled at the side. The pasta.
They didn't even fucking get a fresh bar up before they filmed their shit. They're just showing you the crusty, dried remains.
What is that?
Oh my God!
Is that spaghetti? What is it?
Look at that. Look, that's hideous, bro. I would not even feed that to my dog. That's
Dude, Dino would piss
horrible.
on you, dude. Dino would lift his leg and go. Nope.
These scamming fucks.
$17.
Running a shit bucket fucking buffet with a crazy hipster Jesus running around and a bunch of clay pots for people to look at. What a fucking rube. There's a bunch of rube factory over here, man.
And then she eats this chicken. Like, look, it's good.
And you like the chicken,
My
apparently.
favorite's the chicken.
My wife does too. The chicken is good. Stuff for kids to eat. Stuff for
It
adults
really
to
is.
eat.
Oh my god,
Lots
it
of different
really
types
is.
of
She's still
desserts,
chewing it.
Dessert,
Still
everything
chewing
from
it.
Cobblers. I mean, it's that great home style cooking. But my personal favorite has to be the peanut butter.
The peanut butter pile.
There's no look. Go back. There's no browning to that crust.
Hold
And
up.
no one's eating any.
My personal.
Oh man, that's
It's slop.
it's the lowest effort cobbler that ever existed.
Oh my god, dude.
They just
It's barely eaten. Like someone took a corner out of one and was like, no.
yeah, they didn't come back for seconds on that shit.
Favorite.
Oh my god, man, this is the saddest
A
fucking
pie in a
buffet.
tray. It's a cobbler. It's very similar to that, yeah. But this is honestly, Snore Productions. It's the worst looking cobbler you've ever seen. Like that crust should be a golden brown, and it was barely baked. It's probably
you can just
chewy.
tell they just took some like some what do you call it, like flake pastry or whatever, and just like unrolled it and threw it over the top of some sloppy ass fucking sugary blueberries or whatever it is. Fucking
Has to be the
horrible.
Peanut butter pie.
Oh, I love
The peanut butter pie.
Oh, peanut butter pie.
Man, look at this sad ass fucking shit.
peanut butter
Have to
pie.
try it. It's sugar free, so it feels sinful to eat it. It's so good, but
Oh wow.
It
Why
feels
is
sinful.
nobody taking a single fucking scoop of it if it's so fucking good?
Yeah, I've noticed this buffet doesn't have much missing from it.
good.
And they're here with a bunch of
Don't
people.
add any
Yeah, I something tells me they're not running a ton of people through here. That spaghetti looked dire, man.
This spaghetti looked fucking nasty and burnt, dude. The fuck
Dire
is this?
spaghetti.
Of course, a lot of people enjoy the buffet because it is air conditioning, nice, cool before you go down into the evening. Passion play, great drinks here at the buffet. It's all included, $12.95 for adults plus tax, plus $6.50 for any kids.
No
that want-
longer.
It's very affordable to
Well, it's pretty fucking expensive for a buffet too.
come and eat. Stay here for the
Especially since you're already paying at the door.
Dude, and what they're saying too is like, yeah, you can see the hustle. It's like, yeah, you know, it's been a hot day. Oh, you're sweating. Come to the shitty buffet.
Dude, this chick
Choke
is
down some
still. It looks like she's still working on that bite of chicken too.
She is. It's that chewy.
She's trying to get it down.
the entire day at the Great Passion Play.
Yeah, she
She's
is.
still yeah,
Mention,
see,
Great
dude, all throughout that talking, she had that bite of chicken in there, and she was rehydrating it. Oh man.
passionplay.org. Call 800-882-7529.
I have to agree.
mean,
I think
over
Satan's
300
buffet would be much better.
This is fucking fucked, man.
That's why was my favorite part because look, I could have showed you all the goddamn shit they have here on offer, but this buffet just kind of sums up this place as a whole.
Oh, it's all you need to see.
Yeah,
That's
it's
your
like
experience. That spaghetti. Hold on, let's see if I can find that fucking spaghetti again. I gotta see that fucking spaghetti.
bomb
one last time.
spaghetti.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
it
there
is.
it is.
Shit. This is your experience at this fucking Great Passion Play place, personified in a food right here.
Yeah, this is the level of care they put into it.
These withered instant mashed potatoes that have been sitting there forever. This gravy that's grown a skin, and this fucking spaghetti.
Different life forms.
This fucking spaghetti that looks like something the Mars rover would take a picture of. It's just so dry and desiccated and fucked up.
He's trying not to smell it. Yeah, that is what's happening. Cut. Oh god, it's slop. Oh, it's fucking slop.
That poor lady. I want to see, dude, because she was still swallowing that chicken.
Yeah, does she ever swallow the chicken?
There she is. She's going in for it.
ribs.
Really?
And you like the chicken,
My
apparently.
favorite's the chicken.
My wife does too.
My
The
favorite's the
chicken is
chicken.
good stuff for kids. to
Yeah, so
eat.
she's chewing the chicken there.
He puts it down.
She puts it down. He talks all through the cobbler and the peanut butter pies that he's selling. And she's still right at the end of this talk, if I'm not mistaken, swallowing that piece of chicken.
good, but it's not going to add any more to the calories.
Yeah,
so
I
it feels
might have
sinful to
skipped
eat
it.
it. It's so good, but it's not going to
Yeah. Well, anyway,
add
fuck,
any more.
dude. This is, man.
But yeah,
Oh.
Press of the Ozarks, Holy Land. One of the worst tourist traps in America. Desert of Maine. saw a lot of awful shit. But guys, look, there's plenty more of these. Just let us know if you want more of it, because guess what? I mean, I probably won't be right away because we like to do different episodes, but I'd love to go see some more horrible shit.
Oh yeah, man, these are great.
And and if you do go here, just don't go to the buffet. Just don't go to the buffet.
And keep in mind that a few minutes after we finish this one up, we're going to be going live exclusively for our patrons. Me and Scotty are going to sit around, banter, take a look at some stuff on the internet, blah, 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 blah. You know how it goes. I'm going to smoke a J too.
Let's go to the grease trap. Yeah. So go over to Patreon right now. If you're not a patron, become a patron and come join us.
Yep. See you guys next time. Bye.